shift somebody in the manual transmission, so it's not really
Yes,
that
it
bad of
can.
those slush box.
Yeah, it
And
can.
then two, the way it doesn't have as bad what's the word drivetrain loss, like so
No,
it's
it
not it
doesn't.
doesn't rob the
No,
engine.
it
Yeah, it
doesn't.
has
Yeah.
very good efficiency for putting the power. And so I think it's more like the Americans were looking, obviously they're American,
Uh huh.
and the ATV's German. And luckily, Stellantis, I should say, they were German. So Chevy and Ford are like, hey, we're being left out over here. The Ford, I know they had that, yeah, 6 speed way back, which worked for the worked wonders. Actually, gave people, confidence in Ford the same way people have confidence in Dodge, which they want 8 speed. So no, they made the 10 speed, and you're right. It's too many gears, but they're only doing it because they want to. They're just trying to out edge everybody in terms of just keeping their engines in a power band. Because the Hemis came along, Hemis make such a broad torque band that and power band. It's like, oh, like it has so much grunt and torque to it. Where like, not saying that the LS motors don't have torque; they can make really good torque too, but they like to scream just like the Coyote loves to rev out. So
Oh,
the
of
10
course.
speed works so good for those applications just to keep
Nah,
it
nah.
with
That's
those
the thing.
ratios they
I
have. It
I
just
personally
keeps
don't
going
think the 10
out.
speed works good for those applications because the 8 speed already kills it. It's like, yeah, all right, the these engines can now rev higher because the engineers are actually doing their job and trying to make performance applications. Cool. I
Mm-hmm.
have yet to see 12, 13,000 RPM engines that need the extra gear. That need the, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that makes no sense. Like, if you're
Yeah,
going in the
yeah,
application of, like, strictly racing, FIA approved BS, even NHRA, drag, whatever it may be. All right, you got me. You might need the advantage. I, I ain't going to argue against that because you're the person that are investing millions into building these type of
mhm,
cars that go either 3 seconds down the drag strip in a quarter mile, or doing endurance race, or doing world rally, whatever it may be. I'm not gonna tell you what to do, but
yeah,
from a mass appeal standpoint, even if you're doing performance application, 10 speed is not, unless we have engines that are proficiently doing more than 10,000 RPM, not only at a constant state of abuse, but reliable, like 11,000, 11,500, 12,000. Hell, the the GMA T50, the successor to the F1 that Gordon Murray built. I believe that
mhm.
has a 6 or 7 speed manual, and then the racing version, the T50S, I think is not even 8 gears. It's like, and that engine revs at 12,100 RPM. Like, you see what I'm saying?
I I can explain that.
Why? Go
That
ahead.
engine, so I can explain that
The engine's built
because
by
that
Cosworth.
engine revs. Well, no, no, not just that. It's because since it has such a wide RPM range, wide, like that thing can. I'm not gonna say it should lug around because it's definitely a screamer, but they can literally have that thing in like second or third, lugging around, at like two, and then just wind it all the way out. Where like these low revving, I'm gonna call them what they are. These low revving American engines, except for the Mustang, which so, like
The
I said,
Mustang low
that
revs in
10
a
speed,
sense.
like yeah, let us some. But like the F-150 Mustang with the 10 speed combo right now, like only
It doesn't
because of
need
like I
that
said,
many gears.
it's what's making them win right now though. Like in terms of being on the street, like the 6 speed Mustang, the 6 speed auto Mustangs, they weren't. You can make them fast. Don't get me wrong, but they weren't. You
They're
would
they're
prefer
aged.
manual.
They're
Okay,
aged. Yeah, I
yeah,
got
you
you.
you prefer manual. Like if Ford maybe gave us a updated version of that 6 speed, or maybe tried making it 8 speed like how Chevy did,
Yeah,
then yeah. But Chevy's 8 speed was a fail. So then that's why Ford and Chevy said, okay, let's just go all out and make 10. And yeah, it's like, oh wait, why do we need 10? But they just literally want to one up everybody else and say we got two more gears. But in my mind, it was still really just to make it more efficient. So like these engines now,
yeah, but a
yeah, they
10
make
speed.
500 horsepower now. But now when you're cruising at 55, 60, your engine is basically idle. That's the only thing I noticed with having extra gears. It's really, I really feel like they're just now making an excuse. So now instead of it being like back in the day, a four-speed touch box turbo 400, you only had those three gears, and the fourth gear is kind of like your cruising gear. So like, so now you kind of have 6 gears to use with an 8 speed, and you have seventh to eighth is overdrive, and with a 10 speed, I don't know if it's all four of those are overdrive, or if maybe just the last three or the last two. I'd have to look that and research that.
But you
But
don't need that many gears. That's the issue. You really don't. Even if it's an F-150, 250, 350, you don't need like.
you, but it's definitely made these trucks more efficient. I'll say that. And in terms of
In what
efficiency,
sense is it more efficient?
you save about a mile per gallon or two, and some more performance gains. You about
But do
a
you
second
all right?
faster than 0 to 60.
You save a mile per gallon, and you get a little bit faster just because of the extra gears. All that money you invested in building a 10 speed, now is it necessary?
Yes, in order to get your consumers to
Oh
buy,
no,
yes.
it's not. It's a waste of money. It's a waste of money,
Get your
time,
consumers to
and
buy.
effort. To meet what regulations? To meet what emissions? Like nothing. It meant nothing. It just they want to be the first to
Right,
do it. Fine, I give them that.
right,
Toyota was the
right.
first to do an 8 speed in their cars. I get it.
Yeah,
I get the need to be first. But is it efficient enough to be a revolutionary item? I don't think so yet.
I say, I say, I say yes because I say this. I say ZF is going to keep. Well, they already have the eight speed, down to a T, and they just now
Yes.
made this heavy duty AHP 75 HD. I'm just gonna call it that for now.
Yeah.
So now they have a heavy duty kind of variant.
And then the
I feel
NHP
like
90, right? I believe.
which can handle, which is what it comes in the Hellcats, the Bentleys, the Aston Martin, anything that came with 8 speed
Yeah.
that's in Germany that has a lot of power has that AHP 90. The MBW stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
What's impressive though, and I feel like what will happen eventually is they're just either going to give us a 9 speed or they're going to just bite the bullet and make a 10 speed just to prove to the Americans that they are a better transmission manufacturer. Not only that, one, and two, they're probably going to try to make it somehow even faster, maybe even finally rivaling actual dual clutches. Like it's quick, but then it's not dual clutch quick. You know what I mean? A dual clutch
I'm
still
not.
edges it.
I do like that idea. Don't get me wrong. I'm not against it. Leave the transmissions to the people who do it best. Get Rag,
Yeah,
Tremic.
yes, yes,
I can't remember if they're both one and the same or different. Um, the
exactly.
BMW HP
Yeah, ZF,
powers,
yeah,
the
Zerf,
ZF Zerf, the Atkins and Toyota. All
yeah.
those like in Japan. Leave
Oh,
the
I'll even
transmission.
let Jatco. I'll even give Jatco Nissan because it was just their CVTs that were trash. But I'll say
Yeah,
Nissan's
they shouldn't build
five
CVTs.
speed
But
and
I do
seven
agree. I
speeds were
do
pretty
agree. The
decent.
Jackals, those transmissions, as long as if they never built the CVT, they'll be up there as far as reliable
They would
transmissions.
still have exactly like that.
Exactly. I
Really
agree.
hurt
I agree for sure.
Jatco and Nissan.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
Because
that was
Jackals,
such
Nissan.
that was like a yeah. It burned everybody.
Yeah,
Sorry,
because
it
I
burned
can't.
everybody. It was just like one of the things.
Because I don't know if Jackal's still owned by Nissan or not.
I think they still are.
Let me see.
I believe they still are
Jackal.
because yeah, no, they still are because Jatco's making the new 9 speed. They just had the Mercedes 9 speed design. So Mercedes gave them the design and build, and then Jatco manufactures it. So it's basically Jatcoified or Nissanified for the new Z
How you
and
spell it?
new
Jackal or
Frontier.
Jackal?
Jatco.
JACTO.
Uh, no, Jat, and then Co.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah, because I know they're manufacturing the new 9 speeds that came in the new. They came in the last gen Titan.
Nissan, Mitsubishi, and Suzuki brands.
Makes sense for Mitsubishi for Nissan. Kind of them right now.
Yeah, because Toyota owns I.C.E, which builds all their transmissions.
Hmm.
I.C.E subsidiary. Yeah. Wait, is the GR8 transmission a Jacko?
The what is that the one that was in the GTR?
Uh huh.
I think that's its own thing. if I recall.
Transmission R35 GTR.
Yeah, I think that's its own one.
Called a GR6.
Let's see if I can. But I agree with you because my thing is with the new 10 speed, I like the only thing I like about the 10 speed is that it keeps the engines in the power band.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that they are
Oh,
quad based.
Borg Warner built them.
No wonder why I
Yeah.
think it takes some abuse for a little bit before it just
No,
says,
it'd be
"Boop."
glass sometimes. You throw an extra 200 horsepower, that thing snaps.
Really?
Yeah.
Something different
It could take
software?
abuse in stock form. And that's why they had that recall with the transmission shifter shims after be all cars prior to 2011. 2012 got the updated design. But still,
Hmm.
it was like if you threw 1,000 horsepower at it, you're blowing a trance if you're not careful enough. You're let me just say, a lot of people think 3 times launching it from a dig.
And that's it. It's like,
And that's
let's
not to
launch
say
it.
that
Let's
and
try it
that's not to
again.
say Borg Warner doesn't build a good transmission. That's just the
It's
nature of
not
the
their
design.
specialty.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not their
Well,
specialty.
it's
Like,
no
they
they
make
no
great
they could build
transportation.
transmissions. No, they could build transmissions and transfer cases. It's just that for the design aspect Nissan put them through, it wasn't the best suited for what they were
You know
building.
what? You're right. 'Cause I used to read, yeah, board wanted transmissions. Yeah, you're right. You know what? Excuse my ignorance on that because
Cause don't they
I
build the new
remember not
C.E.
seeing.
transmission and the Mustang and the
Yeah.
Mustang couple
Well,
others?
actually, no. I think I thought that was Tremec.
Oh, you might be right. It might be Tremec. Yeah, you're right.
'But you're right. Borg Warner used to make a lot of manuals. I thought back in the day, right? Was it manual transmissions?
Borg Warner. I'm gonna search it up.
I looked this up. Or
I'm pretty sure Borg Warner is American, but Delaware Corporation.
yeah, I
Borg
want to see what.
Warner.
Yeah, they had the T5. Yeah, it's the Borg Warner T5. That was the world transmission. Now it's currently manufactured by Tremec. So wait, the Tremec by Borg Warner?
Let me check. Hold on,
Oh, what?
because
We're going down a
I'm
rabbit
looking
hole.
up Borg Warner right now.
We're going down a rabbit hole right now.
In Michigan, U.S. It was built. Let me see now. Who owns?
Well, maybe they sold the rights.
It's owned by shareholders. So a bunch of shareholders own Borg Warner. It's not owned by an
Makes sense.
actual entire company.
So they probably deliver. You know what they probably do? They probably provide like research intelligence, and then they probably share that with like everybody else to their little subsidiaries. And then since Tremec is making the T5, they probably say, "Hey, we'll license that to you. You guys manufacture it. It's cheaper for you than us."
Trem. Guess what? Guess what Tremec is? Tremec is now. I'm just finding out. Tremec's Mexican. Tremec is an American
Tariffs,
company.
tariffs.
Tremec is an American country, but is wholly owned subsidiary of Cuo Group, which is based in Mexico City.
What?
Let me see if it's Mexico City. Like, oh no, it's Mexico. Formerly Transmission Technology is a manufacturer of automobile transmission drivetrain components based in Querétaro, Mexico. That's
Well,
interesting.
that's interesting. That's interesting as all hell. Actually,
Some of the
that's gonna
first, all
go
right, here we go. Some of the first Tremec products were originally designed by Borg Warner, including the widely used T56.
which which spawned the T56.
Tremec was founded in April 12, 1964. Genesis was to manufacture transmissions in Mexico for Ford, GM, and Chrysler. At the time, the Mexican government enacted a protectionist policy that mandated all vehicles assembled in Mexico have engines and transmissions 100% manufactured in Mexico. A joint venture was formed which included one of Ford's largest transmission suppliers, Clark Transmissions, and two entrepreneurial companies based in Mexico. Tremec's first transmission will be produced later that same year. So Tremec is Mexican. Wow.
Well, I don't know.
Food for thought.
That's good to know. Hey, well, Treme, thank you for making some of the best transmissions because if I don't put this 8 speed in my Ram, I will be getting a TR 6060 or a TR 56, and I'll just be sending it because, yeah, I'm that close. And then I almost, just because I don't want to deal with another Nissan 7 speed, not knocking it, I just know that they're flawed from the factory. There's no transmission tuning for them, really.
Mm.
Not I'm finding this out. But once they do get that, I guess there's so many hidden features people have said inside of them. Like they have clutch packs like the 8 speeds. They have launch control availability. It's just everything's just not there from the factory. So, and you can do rolling like anti-lag, all that stuff. But long story short, why not just bulletproof and put 8 speed in there? So I was this close, it's close to
Tearing it
putting a
apart.
message inside. Yeah, well, I was gonna send a message in the 8 speed group because I was gonna say, hey guys, I noticed Tommy Works because that's their company. They make a whole bunch of adapter kits for the 8 speeds, and but for pretty much everything, the UZ, VK, VQ. So I know they have an adapter plate for the VK already.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. The front of the transmission. So now I need to figure out how can I get the Nissan transfer case, which is like 13 bolts in a weird shape, to work. Yeah, it's so weird. Like, how come they couldn't just use like a standard? Well, I'm like, it's Nissan and Toyota. That's what they do. They use their own proprietary kind of stuff. At
Of
least
course.
Toyota's, at least Toyota's is more for the people. So you can say, hey, I'll put this in another car, and it's at least it'll work, and someone will make it fit. The Nissan is like, what is that? So,
Hide it in the corner.
um, yeah, I'm like, what is that? So I looked. The closest transmission that would work for me would be a BMW's transmission because it has a 4 bolt style transfer case kind of adapter on the
Mm.
back. And if somebody can make something that maybe converts that, that'd be perfect. So
He
I
said,
might have to
"I'll
put a
be
message out.
chilling."
Yep, I'll be the guinea pig because then at least they should, if everything is around the same size, it should go right into place. I don't want to do custom drive shafts or anything like that, so I hope everything is close enough in size. But at least I know, like Dodge, they literally basically try to keep everything to the same size. So they
Yeah,
literally were
of
like,
course.
all right, let's just move this there, do that there. Okay, cool. And so everything's kind of similar. But this is Nissan, and that I know there's only one person that swapped an 8 speed into one of those. And it's a 350Z, and there's barely any information on it. He's basically like someone that's like a drifter slash racer. So like he got tired of blowing up the auto. He after upgrading it, put an 8 speed in it, and it's been happy since.
To be honest, I want a transmission like the GR6, like a dual. I want a dual clutch. Like, I mean, I wish they built
Yeah,
like a GR7, like a seven speed of it. But
seven
I would
speed.
and just
Yeah,
I just don't like. I guess I want it rear wheel drive instead of all wheel drive, so I don't have to worry about two shafts going in and out. But other than that,
true,
I would want something like
true.
that, like a GR7. If
Only
Borg Warner's
transmission.
listening, I'll be your first customer.
Being good to a zero Audi, not put the Audi half shafts in.
Because one thing I'm not doing is designing my own transmission. I'm already got my hands full with the engine. I'm all set.
Or you can just steal a C8
Nope.
transaxle,
Nah.
dual clutch.
Nah.
I
I'd
don't know
rather
what
I'd
dual
rather
clutch
take
that is.
I'd rather take the Lambos. The Lambos, the Audi R8s and shit.
Yeah, those are faster.
Hell
What
yeah,
does Audi call their
they
transmission?
shift like a bastard, yo. They just bang bang bang.
What does Audi call it? Is it
DSG.
yeah, thank you. DSG, there you go. Yeah, those transmission, yeah, Volkswagen Audi, those DSG transmissions are a beast. I can't even lie.
It's like German for like multi-stage clutch
Direct
trans,
shift,
what
yeah, or like
direct
direct
shift,
shift,
yeah,
I thought.
direct shift
And it's like
gearbox or
it's just
whatever.
literally, yeah, I think literally just
It's
throwing you in
base.
the air and
It's
you're gone.
basically Audi's version of a ZF.
Yeah, and then you got Porsche with their PDK. I
That
do
PDK
like
is nice
how
though. That PDK is nice. That I'm not
one
gonna
thing I
argue
do
with.
like about Volkswagen, I like that they have friendly competition in their group. So it's not like, hey, like the Americans were like back in the day, which is why a lot of their brands failed. They were like, hey, you can't be better than a Corvette, or hey, you can't be
I
better
don't
than our
even.
Cadillac, or hey, you
I
can't
don't
be better
even
than this
think it's
car. I like how they have friendly talk.
I don't think it's friendly competition. I think they're out to build the best transmissions, and they're just like trying to show the world like they got the front wheel drive DSG on the RS3, which is a
Yeah,
bastard and is beating everything right now.
yeah.
They got
Comes in the Golfs too,
they got
the
the
Jets.
transaxle version that's in the R8 and the Huracan, which is smoking the Dodson and the McLaren and
Yeah,
some other cars. They've got
yeah,
they've got
yeah.
the I don't know if they use the ZF or they've used their own PDK for the Porsches, especially like the Cayenne and shit, where they're all-wheel drive and stuff. If they do, they're giving
Those are
BMW a run for their money for the ZF. Like they're showing out in
actually
just transmissions, not even engines.
sorry. Sorry, you're right. Actually, Porsche. I gotta look this up. I know it might have been in the Panamera. Sorry, it might have been the
Panorama, yeah.
Pan that gets the Porsche PDK, and I think the Cayenne gets the shared. But you might be on to something. I have to look that
That's
up.
what I'm saying. Like
I
Audi's
think
been killing it in the transmission game, killing it. Not saying
I
BMW
know there's a
isn't,
variant.
but BMW only builds one style of trans from what we're looking at, while
And from one brand.
Audi's tackling it from all like you got a mid engine, we got you. You got a front engine, we got you. You want to make it rear wheel drive, you got you. Want to make it all wheel drive, we got you. It's like god damn.
Because if I recall, I think you're right. I think they come with both transmissions.
Even
I think
the
they come with
Audi
a
R8 Quattro, like they make it as a transaxle that has a shaft to make it all wheel drive. Like when is it gonna stop? Like Audi, the Volkswagen Group's been killing it in transmissions.
ooh. So let me see. What does Ford call their transmission? Because this is something different here. Oh,
Audi's been killing it.
so because the Cayenne does have an 8 speed, but they call it Citroen. If it's let me see. Let me see Cayenne transmission.
It's not the ZF, right?
So that's what I want to know. I want to know if it's the ZF, the Zaref, or if it's if it's their own because they call it Tiptronic and I don't. Please replace the transmission at one that belongs to Porsche. Okay, so this is somebody being mad. So I'm assuming this the Porsche 18. Yeah, so it's not a PDK. The ZF8 Cayenne is the same as ZF8 BMW,
Okay.
or as all the other ones. I should say the Audi.
Yeah, but this even if then they're still killing it.
But the Panamera, I know. Let me look at the Panamera. The Panamera, I'm pretty sure came with the PDK.
They have to, cause why would they build a version of that for the 718?
Yeah. So yeah, the Panamera came. Yeah, in 2016 received an updated 8 speed PDK.
Okay. Telling you. The HP is ruling over as far as transverse style transmissions, but the Volkswagen Group's been killing it as far as transmission styles and options and works.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the kicker. Here's the kicker. Here's the kicker. All right. So you know what they did? So in the upper models, though, they did, and some of the models, they did have the Zera 8 speed.
Uh-huh.
So they used the Cayenne. So okay, sorry, in the Panamera hybrid, they used the Cayenne's 8 speed. All the other models came with the PDK 7 speed. In 2017, 18, that's when they came with the PDK 8 speed, which is
That thing shifts like a bastard. It's just not all the cars come with that PDK speed. Like it's you
and
solely
now
have
that
to
you
get a
say it, guess
car.
what?
What's up?
Guess what? Volkswagen is missing the mark here. They have a Porsche SUV that yes, I get it. It uses a shared platform. But one thing that for example, Porsche and Volkswagen and Audi and all of them is that each one of their models always got that brand's goodies. So if you wanted an Audi, you got Quattro, you had the Audi DSG, or you had those features. If you got a Volkswagen, it might have 4Motion, but it wasn't as good as Quattro. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But it was 4Motion, and you had some Volkswagen goodies. You had the R model, you got the VR mode, the VR6. People love that thing.
yeah,
Uh, Porsche, you had the PDK, you get the Porsche high running motors, you get to launch your PDK at like 5,000 RPM
yeah.
before it gets something ridiculous and have fun with it. So
And then the
and
Lamborghini shares that some of the transmissions with
yeah,
Audi.
exactly. And the Lamborghini kind of gets some of the best of everything, but you get the Lamborghini engine, which makes it the Lamborghini. You get either the V10 or you're getting the V12,
Yeah, the only
and you
problem
know
with
that you're
that
getting
is
power.
the V12 is more Lamborghini than the V10. The V10 is more of a
Yes,
German
Audi
engine. Yeah.
kind of share, yeah, part share, joint venture
The whole
thing.
block is
It
the
used to
same thing.
be,
They just change a couple of components around, but you can swap them over and they'll fit. There's no difference. The heads are the same.
it's, yeah, it's cool. No, like they had
The only difference is when you
single,
get
like
like a Lamborghini Huracan, like Technica, STO, whatever, you get like the titanium valves and all the exotic material stuff. But it's
the
not like
Lambo.
it's not like you can't swap that over to a R8. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And that
it's
V10 is
just they don't come
that
from the
V10's
factory
cool.
from
Is just
Audi.
there's that V10's cool. Is just some of them are plagued by oil pump problems, and the notorious one is snapped valve springs. But other than that, like valve springs just snap,
That doesn't
and
sound
that's
right.
it, donezo.
That
Luckily,
sounds like an American thing.
luckily, I think from what I remember, the it doesn't blow up the engine depending on how it snaps. Like a lot of times when it snapped, it just
Misfire.
the valve just stops going down and it doesn't throw a misfire cone and it shuts off. So that's the cool thing about the engines, I guess, is the fact that you don't get a blown up motor with a broken valve spring versus the Americans when you break a valve spring, the piston slaps the valve and that's game over.
Everything's done. You're replacing the whole motor,
You're
or
replacing
you're
the
trying to
head,
refurb a little bit
everything.
of these. Yeah. Mm.
That's the only good thing. So like
Porsche is missing
you
the
could
mark
save
there.
it, take that valve covers off, see that it's there. Um, you could do the old trick where you fill the engine, where you fill that cylinder with compression and swap the springs out, put the springs on, and just let it sit. Like you could do that, or if you want to be balls to the walls and want to do head gaskets and all that shit, then you take the actual heads off with the gears and the chain and all that stuff. But yeah, fucking hell. Well, that was a nice little 30-minute rant before we got started.
Yep. Oh, I thought
Fucking
you started the whole time. That was perfect.
no, I started the whole time. Yeah, it's been 28 minutes.
Wow.
It's been
Well, he
28
didn't say
minutes.
we are live yet.
No, it was a good conversation. So I was like, fuck it, let's keep it going.
He
No,
didn't
it's
even
a,
say we are live yet.
hey, it's Sunday cars and coffee. Everyone brings in cars and starts talking,
Yeah, that's right. That's true. That's true. Sit down, enjoy the show. Bring your car. If you don't got a car,
and
enjoy
we
the
talk
cars and
about
drink some
personal
coffee.
projects and why 10 speeds are useless. Well, I think 10 speeds are useless.
I can agree to an extent, but I do like the one thing I will agree with two things why I see why they're good. Oh, I didn't want to. I like it because one, they have a good way to keep some of these cars in the power band depending on the gear ratio and depending on what the application is used for. Like I don't know how the new I haven't been inside of a new 10 speed truck yet,
Mm.
so I can't really speak on it. I've only seen the videos on like the Mustangs, F-150s, and the Bronco Raptors, which I'm like, it looks cool, but I kind of think it's annoying hearing all those shifts. Like, I kind of like it feels like a video game.
Sure,
You
sure. Yeah.
know, it's like Fast and Furious now. Now all right, we finally have infinite transmissions now. Okay, like Fast and Furious. Do you remember all the times in Fast and Furious they would shift? We finally made it, except we just don't get to shift ourselves.
He's He said we just don't have 27 gears. We only stuck with 10.
We're stuck with 10. So imagine now you're driving shift, yeah, shift, yeah, every single time. But no, all jokes aside, I mean, it's good that they keep the engines in the power and it makes them more efficient. So it helps them keep some of these dinosaurs and
Look, the A
these
speed does it
engines that
well.
might not
The
need
A
them.
speed does it well. You don't need 9. You don't need 10. 8 is
I
fine.
I
Is
agree,
more than plenty. And for what these engines are capable of right now, we don't need any more gears.
but hey, the new Escalade, like I said, is Chevy and Ford. So
Look,
when we talk about the Ford 10 speed, I'm also talking about the Chevy
until these
Escalade
engines
V.
produce a fat torque curve with a high RPM engine, there's no need for that many gears. I want to see
All right,
I want to see 12,000 RPM engine with a torque curve readily available at like 2800, which is damn near impossible.
I got you. Watch this. If someone gives me a lot of money, I'm buying an Escalade V, I'm gonna board up with 7.0. I'm gonna throw that supercharger back on top. We're gonna send it. We're gonna have it sing to maybe 10, 11,000.
No, it's
Like the
only gonna
valve train and
rev to
everything.
like 8,000, 8,500
All
max.
right,
That's a heavy motor. It's gonna rev to like you probably gonna get to 77 to 8,000. That's it. That's such a big motor.
so
It
there's
will
nothing
have
else
a
for it to
fat
do there.
torque
Like,
curve though. It will have a fat torque curve though. Like that torque curve
man,
will start at like 2,500 and go all the way to 7, and you'll be happy with that.
man, that's not fair.
That's just the way big displacement engines go.
All right, well,
Have you
you know,
seen the
at 10 speed,
6.2 V8 from
Escalade
the
V.
Mercedes AMG lineup? You see how high that thing revs? That thing only revs like 7,500 max. But
You know what?
that thing can sing like it just, the torque curve just bing.
All right, I can't lie. Can't lie. The torque curve is good, but then I can still see the benefit of a 10 speed. Like, remember those old diesels back in the day, four
Nah, it's
speed,
just
5 speed?
you have
They
to have
just
a
they
lot of
have their
factors.
power,
Nah, you have to have more factors to do 2 extra gears other than, oh, it's overdrive, oh, it's towing, oh, it's to save,
better acceleration.
like you're telling me you're gonna be cruising at 60 miles an hour at 1,000 RPM in 10th gear?
Yes, at idle. Or you're gonna be at idle, you're gonna sip fuel, and you're gonna meet those EPA regulation numbers. And the only reason why we have all these transmissions like this is for emissions. Otherwise, we'd probably still have
The
just like
eight
back in the
speed
day.
does
They
it
were like
well.
they loved
Is
their
what I'm
three
saying.
speed, they loved their 4 speeds, and they loved their 5 speed back in the day. The autos and everybody liked the 6 speed because they said it was a sweet spot. That's it, because it's just like a manual. But we got the 8 speed. 8 speed's here to stay. Let's see what the 10 speed can do. I will say this in races, only only in races, the 10 speed has shown superior
The eight
in some
speed
instances.
does it well. That's all I'm saying.
It does it well, but the 10 speed is winning races. And when Ford wants to be first on
10
race
speeds
day, and
winning.
so
Nah,
does Chevy.
8 speeds winning racing. Hell, the 8 speed is the fastest roll race car in the world, and for people who don't know, it is Underground Racing's Huracan, the STO. That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
The 8 speed does it more than well. So for you
but
to
we will
say,
see.
"Oh, we need a 10 speed," I don't think so.
Mustangs and Ford F-150s and Chevy
I want to
and
see a
Cadillac Escalade
Mustang with a
V's.
10 speed do numbers that the STO's doing.
I mean, they're doing numbers, but they're not. They might not do that number.
And we're back to
Let's
square
let's
one.
say this. Watch this. Watch this. Okay, how about this? If Ford can give us not a GTD, not with a dual clutch, you know what I mean? If they can make us something that's 100% theirs, meaning like
Which is fine.
a
I agree.
Mustang,
I don't
maybe
mind.
super light, or maybe not, let's not even call it a Mustang. They need to give us a lightning sports car that maybe comes with that 5.0 Coyote, the 10 speed. Maybe instead of going all out and trying to give us a $300,000 car, just a $80,000 car with a 10 speed mounted as a transaxle. You know what I mean? And
Mm.
and then show us what you can do with your own proprietary equipment.
Look, Other than the Ford 9-inch or 10-inch rear ends, the 5-liter Coyotes, and the Ford GT, Ford can't build anything else that is of value.
I'm not calling the transmission the Ford or Chevy. I'm just gonna call it the Venture, the Chevy Ford, the Ford Chevy, the GM
I'm
Ford, the
gonna call it
transmission.
Mexican because that's exactly where it's from.
So
And
we
them
call it
tariffs are
Mexican.
gonna eat us up.
We'll call it Mexican for now. But that new 10 speed right now, all I have to say is
It's not
once
worth
they
it.
iron out all the bugs,
Not worth
no,
it.
they've been ironing out the bugs, and now that they've been pretty dialed in there, especially on the Chevy side, like Chevy, the Camaros, when they, let's just say the Camaros got the 10 speed,
The Camaro's
they have
dead.
a whole lot fast. And they, that's GM bean counters, and they were thinking about bringing it back as a sedan.
The Camaro's dead.
They might bring it back.
The Corvette outshined it way too much.
But they might bring it back now because I thought it was perfect when they had it now because Vet being now mid-engine is like okay now you're getting a different caliber of a car where the Camaro now could fit that front engine railroad drive
If they were,
sports
that's the
car
thing.
role.
If they were doing that from the beginning, they should have never killed the Camaro. That was the issue.
And and that's why I'm confused when they did kill it again. But what I read from GM was obviously during the whole electric craze and during the last administration, and they wanted to hit the Camaro hybrid the same way they make the Blazer go from this gas four-cylinder Equinox supposed to be Camaro SUV thing into an EV and make the Camaro an EV and all of that. And
Nah. You know what I think they should do? I think Camaro, like Chevy, the GM engineers, whoever they are, who are sitting on their asses and
mm-hmm,
just building shit 6 months at a time just to meet quotas. I think they should
yep.
go back to the drawing board with the Camaro and bring us back like a retro esque, like how Nissan did the Z, the 400Z, how it's like a retro esque 240, you
Yeah,
know, like in the
yeah,
60s and
it harks
70s.
back.
They
Yeah, the
should make a
design looks
retro
look at it.
esque of like the '69 Camaro. You know, they should make a
Yep.
retro esque version of it. Like we all like the best example of that is the 400Z. It is literally a retro esque 240. Like it's modern and it's not the engine we actually like to go in it, but at the same time, when you look at it from all angles besides the side, which the side resembles more of a 350 in a sense, but if you look at it from all the different angles, it looks like a modern 240. It looks like they threw neon lights on a 240 and threw like those those like what is it, the LED phases, those aftermarket Chinese ones where you just saw they look like one of those, which is it's amazing. Like I love the way the Z looks. Like I almost thought about getting one, but at the same time I was like, when I looked at the side, I was like, Then I looked what engine it had. I was like, yeah, I'm all set.
How dare you? I actually have a love for the VR30 still.
No, I don't.
I know it's
It has
limited, but
potential, but they killed it. Like when they first came out, I was like, why? I was like, what was the point? Why are you doing this? You had something going, and then when you build these type of engines, you just shoot yourself in the
it's
foot
still
again.
capable. There's still shit to 600, 800 horsepower.
You can't Okay, you're starting a VR lineup of engines, right? You set a high standard with the VR38. You set way too high of a standard. Like that's like come on, Blake. You go out like let's say you're building your own thing out. You go out gun swinging. It's the best of the best. It's competing with everything, and you didn't expect it to. Then your next lineup is bullshit. It's redesign. It's like going back.
You know what?
Like
I
how
see what you mean, but
Like
the
how you
VR
gonna?
30 is supposed to
No,
be
no, no, no,
below.
no, 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 no. How you gonna go from chicken wings and then go try to build a good steak and the steak ain't even all that great? It's like mediocre, but you have the best chicken wings. Like, oh, I'm gonna venture out. I'm gonna do a steak. Like, come on now. Everything about the VR38, the way the ports, the way the cylinder ports are, the way the fact that it resembles the McLaren 840Ts, which again was a Nissan engine to begin with. Anyway, all the engineering aspects that I forget the engineer's name, and I'm gonna kick my ass once I figure it out. that he wanted to do with the R34, he did with the R35. He made it so bulletproof. It's not besides the crank. Whenever you reach a certain type of horsepower rating, that thing is flawless. The engine is flawless. So
Okay. I
you get a closed deck block. You get these crazy big exhaust ports. You get some of the nice flowing head you ever seen. Yeah, it doesn't rev that high, but for what it can do, it does more than enough. You get a closed deck
yeah,
block design. You get a crazy overbore stroke design, and you go in. You go 3 liter. All right, you could do a square design. I can forgive that. I don't care. I personally like a square design. I like a little overboard, but I do like a square design. Like 86 by 86 is fine with me. But then
yeah.
you go cast in exhaust portage manifolds. Then you go open deck block. Then you do all this stupid BS, and you're just like if you go finger follower, like why are we going backwards?
I'll tell you why. The VR38 is still supposed to be the holy grail. It's a lot of higher. The VR30 was supposed to be their budget economy
And
version.
you know what's crazy as far as V6 twin turbos go? They don't even compare the VR38 to the VR30. They compare the VR38 to the Alpha 690T because it shares it shares more characteristics with that engine as far as being a model design than it does with the VR30. They both have a closed deck block design. They both have a big. They don't. Well, the Alpha doesn't really have a big exhaust and intake port, but they have a free flow port design. They're both twin turbos. They're both obviously a twin turbo V6 variant. One of them is a 3 liter with 86 and a half. Well, 2.9 technically, which is 86
Yep.
and a half by 82 millimeter, which is more in a sense of like the RB because the RB was like 79, 78 millimeter stroke. This one's more of an 82. So it's interesting to see that. But why is it like the 690T built by Giovanni Pavetti, which is the same dude that built the F154 engine for the 488 and the SF90, the twin turbo V8? He just
Yeah.
chopped 2 cylinders off it. That engine that he built for the Alphas for the sister company is getting compared to probably the holy grail of twin turbo V6s.
Uh,
Not even the
because
S58
it's
is
one
being
of the
compared to
only.
that.
That's because it's being compared to it because it was built proper from the beginning. Now I see what you're saying with the VR30. Yeah, they could have built it proper from the factory from the beginning, but it's supposed to be a budget variant of that engine, so
But
they
all right,
needed to
hold on, hold on.
cost save as much
I
possible.
will argue that. I will argue that right now.
Okay.
Budget should have been a concern when it was already made. The VR38 was already made. Why is budget a concern now? You already have the basis. You already have the design. All you gotta do is shrink. Yes, it does take a lot of time to shrink things, but to me, that's not a lot of budget because you could use a lot of the same factors.
Touche. Touche. I can't even argue. You know what? I can't even argue with that because
Like how
no,
Dodge, like how the FCA group went from the 4 liter inline six to the 3.8 to the 3.6 Pentastar back to a twin turbo inline six. Like they just flopping. They just throwing money like this. Nissan they
have you
didn't have to do that.
seen? Have you ever seen? Here, let me see if I could find if I could find this. If I could find this concept. Have you ever seen the Q50? I'm not even sure if I'm saying this right. You Rogue or Rogue Rogue. I don't know if I'm saying that. The concept.
Send the
But
link.
basically, I'll send you. I'll send the link. So this car here was supposed to be what you wanted it to be. It was supposed to be the Q50 with the VR38, but they had issues packaging it in there. So you bring up a very valid point when yo, they could have just shrunk everything
Well, were
down.
they trying to make it
It's
all-wheel
almost like
drive? Is that the issue?
uh, it was going to be railroad drive, I believe.
So just make it dry
Let's
some.
see. Oh, sorry, nope, nope. So sorry, nope. It was all-wheel drive.
Yeah.
It
So
had the
you're
seven
going to
speed.
have issues.
It had the 7 speed torque converter. Basically, the same one that came in the Q70, which came with the V8, the same V8 that I had. So it's the same transmission that I have, just with the transfer case instead of it mounting on with the axle coming out on the left side, it comes on the right side,
It looks
on
like
the
they had
passenger
no
side.
issue looking at the end, looking at the photos.
they didn't really have issues. They just had issues with cooling it. Like the transmission, you know what I mean? Like they program the gear changes to take a while, so that with hopes that the transmission will last long enough to survive the attentions of a few riders. So like,
Just
which
use
already
what you put
tells
in
you.
the just use what you put in the Drew car.
So it's funny you say that. They have all the pieces, like you said, they had everything in front of them, but it's like they were like, no, we don't want to use that. And it's like you're right. They had every piece in front of them,
That's what I'm saying. Like
and then
you talk about budget, that's almost null and void. Looking at what they were like, this looks to me like they're wasting money.
yeah,
That's what this looks like to me. Granted, it came out with the VR30 already set in stone, but
hmm
to try to shove one of these in after, no, that's a waste of money. You should have just did a second iteration of the VR30 and make it what it's supposed to be. Like, look, we fucked
and
up. Here we go.
hopefully, I know Nissan's messed up right now. I know Nissan doesn't have a lot of money, but hope, I hope, and I personally, I would like for them to actually become partners with like Dodge because I feel like two companies that, that they're both hurting. They just need to put everybody together and say, hey, all right, guys, you guys are all on the same plan. You guys are on the rebuilding plan.
Well, the fact that they killed off their old boss and trying to renegotiate with Honda tells you a lot.
Tells you a lot. And me personally, like I said, like the Q50, I'm always gonna have a soft spot for them because I think the design, especially like most Nissan designs, they have a good design language, so it's kind of timeless and stuff. Like it's gonna age well beyond that. Like I feel like this car, even in 10 years, we're still gonna look at it and say, this car looks pretty nice. Like it might not be the best car, but like how like some BMWs, the new generation, next gen comes out,
Yeah,
it's still we'll still say that BMW looks nice, but like
like
250s do have like they make you look at it and
so.
kind of say, okay, yeah,
So here's what I would say to the Q50. If the Alpha Quadrifoglio wasn't priced ridiculously, that will beat this by a country mile all day. But it's the fact
yeah,
what kills the Alpha craze is the fact that if you buy a brand new one, it starts off at $94,000. I am not paying that
yep,
much money for that type of car. Like if I'm paying
no,
$94,000, I am getting like a new S GTR. I am getting an older
yeah,
R8. I do not care. Like no, I
yeah,
am
no,
not. I am not getting
I
an Alpha Giulia
agreed
Quadrifoglio.
all day, agreed,
I'm not
agreed,
getting an
and
Alpha
that is
Giulia
why I've always
Quadrifoglio.
had a soft spot. That's why I always had a soft
But
spot for the
if
Q50.
you if you look at like the 2018, 2019 quadrifolios versus the Q50s, they're more evenly priced. They went from the Alpha quadrifolios, they went from $94,000 to $33,000. Like it jumps a whole 60 grand.
That depreciation that's even more scary. That's scarier than Nissan Infinity depreciation, though.
But it just goes to show you what are you getting for that car? Like right after it just goes ding. Like that's all it does.
Yeah,
But the only good thing is it stays at that 30 to 33, which means that's the value of it. Like
yeah,
if you go like
right.
2023, 2024, yeah, you're up in the price. Like after a year, it shoots down 30 grand. After like 5 years, it shoots down another 30. Like we just had one at
Yeah,
the dealership. The guy owned it for a year, traded it in, and another guy bought it for 65. It shot down 30 grand in depreciation. And
see,
the car only had 800 miles on it. See, you see what I'm saying. For that caliber of a car,
yeah,
I just don't understand why it's priced so high. But if you get the earlier model, like that changes things as far as pricing. Like that's more even with the Q50, Q60s. That's more even with the M340s earlier models like the F8s. I don't know about the G20 models, but the F20 models is more even with because
yeah,
the market down here is different. It's priced different for the newer G20 M340s than it is up north, where it's like up by 10, 15 grand. Ah, shit.
I hope Nissan can give us a uh, upgraded or updated version of the VR. I know they just came out with the VR 35. I don't. The thing is, I have a strong feeling it's still open deck. I have a feeling it's just a
Oh, of
bigger
course it
version
is.
of the VR 30
It's an open. It's
because
still gonna be the same design. It's just gonna be probably more stroke because it's going into a lot of truck applications. So it's probably gonna be the same bore or slightly bigger bore, and it's gonna be a massive increase of stroke, like the Nissan's 5 VK56 or Toyota's 3UR with the 5.7 liter. Same bore, big ass stroke. That's
yeah,
what it is.
yep, it's just a larger version of the VR 30 DDTT. So I have a feeling I wouldn't be surprised if in the future they're just gonna give us the VR 35 DDTT and like another like maybe an updated version of the 400Z or the well, sorry, I call it 400Z. Yeah, 400Z or Nissan Z, and then maybe
They should,
something that
but even if you do
they have
that,
the VR 38. Yeah, it's like they have everything right there.
like
They had it.
like
They have
BMW screwed up with the Z4 and the Supra when they did the whole two port thing, and then they updated the design to a six port. Like it was still a closed deck block, which
yeah.
was smart. They just did a different head design. They were like, "Oh, this is the updated TU. What is it? B58 ST1T, whatever they want to call it, Generation 2, basically." Which is weird because the F20 M340s never, I don't think, came with the two
Ooh,
port option like that.
ooh. You want to know something cool though?
What's that?
The VR 35, only thing it shares the same compression ratio as the VR 38 DDT, the VR 35 DDTT.
Well, you have that
That's
amount
the
of
whole
stroke.
difference.
You if you have that, if what I think is to be correct, and they just put a lot of stroke in that engine, you do have to run that type of lower compression for that engine, especially for truck usage, truck
Yeah,
SUV.
and yeah, and funny thing is, I guess the VR 30 has a 10.3 to 1 compression ratio versus the other two, which is 9.0 to 1.
Hmm.
That's a cool little fact. I don't think it's shared. Nothing else shared. It's a shame though, because like you said, they have everything there. So I presume, hopefully, if they are smart, if they are smart, they will give us updated versions of these engines. If they want to stick around, if they are really smart, they just need. I don't know how, because
I don't
in
think they
50, I
will.
feel like they struggle. They
I,
struggle with design. Like Nissan struggles with making a car. Like they make a car, they make it so good for the time. Then
uh-huh.
they let it age. It gets so old. It gets beyond old. It gets outdated to the point where nobody wants it anymore. And then, oh shit, oh crap, no, it's not our car anymore. And yeah, you guys made yes, the car is great. We're not denying that you made a good car for the price and what people can get it for and what it does. Great. But when the competition catches up and he passes you and now offers similar value for maybe a couple thousand more, now just wait a year or two, you get a used variant of the other car, and it's that much better. People will just go that way. They're not figure it. So um, they let all their cars become so stale. Same thing I felt like Toyota Lexus was doing at one point. Like they were updating interiors, but they weren't like giving us new products. So I hope that if Nissan is watching Toyota, watching like, man, we wish we could do that right now. I hope one day that they can get back into making for cars, like for performance cars.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they can watch how Toyota does it, learn a thing or two, and then come back swinging and say, hey, you know what? Let's ride that. I'm not going to say it. They're going to have to ride that wave of Toyota's success and say, hey, guys, remember us? We were just as good as Toyota at one point. And they're going to have to try to ride that wave and show everybody that they can make all the performance cars same way. I feel like that's got to be their last saving grace. I honestly feel like it's not only going to be Honda, it might be Toyota that saves Japan. And what I mean is everybody's going to know what Toyota brings to the table. They're going to want Nissan to step it up, and it's all going to make Honda. You know what? Honda is it's going to make Honda to say, you know what? We'll dominate the four-cylinder market and stuff, and we'll battle out with Toyota. And then it's going to make Nissan say, okay, Honda, you guys need to make a V6. Nissan, you guys got to do something too. Maybe even might spark a revival for Mitsubishi if they can even get somebody else to let them do their own thing versus
Mm.
being under Nissan's umbrella.
Well,
Right now, yeah, like you said, they wasted money. They had all the pieces, and
of course.
that's it.
Well, sports cars alike. Mercedes finally released the AMG GT63 Pro. I still haven't figured out how this layout's gonna be. Cause you remember when it first came out, how the layout was, like the
Yeah,
drivetrain.
yeah, it's a V8, and I believe it has doesn't it have a transaxle as well?
No, I think when it first came out, it had a regular like an 8 HP, like it had a regular transmission in the middle
Okay, yeah, yeah, it had a regular transmission.
because of the whole 4matic.
Yeah,
I think I think it carried it over, which kind of sucks because I thought they were going to go the transaxle route again, like they did with the first generation AMG GT,
I think that this might be better. You know why I say it might be better?
because it comes all-wheel
If they
drive
were
from the
able to
factory.
lighten it, comes comes all the way off the factory. If they lightened it in a couple of places, and now this newer norm Mercedes. I love Mercedes for what they do. They'll make, like, for example, they made a 9 speed, then they'll make a 9 speed dual clutch variant as well. So
They do be going all
hopefully,
out a lot of times. We just keep
yeah,
missing. We just keep missing it, or it's like we're just too focused on other shit to the point like we can't afford these cars, which makes sense. Like
yeah,
that's the issue. Like that's why we don't
exactly.
focus on it a lot because we just can't afford them.
Because they usually they spare no expense, and that's why with those cars, people complain about the price. It's like you can't really complain about the price on these cars because they're not sparing any expense. They're giving you the ultimate version of this car. That's what you're paying for. You can't just buy a regular GT or a regular I guess what is this car called otherwise? SL. You can't buy a regular SL.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And get it with all these features you want.
yeah, you're
But
right.
it might be
Yeah,
similar.
you're right. It's a 9 speed automatic, and it's all-wheel drive.
So okay, so it's an auto. Because usually sometimes they'll do a dual clutch and make a variant. But
It
one thing
might
is
be in
that's
what they
impressive
haven't told
is
us yet. It might be in they didn't haven't
it
told us
could
yet.
be. You're right. Because they still call it dual clutch or automatic sometimes in
Of
these
course,
articles and notes.
of course.
So they do operate like an automatic, just like but in all honesty, I mean, this is going to be impressive because they probably lighten the significantly in other places, so they can add all-wheel drive. And then now with the all-wheel drive, that's going to help it grip in the corners,
I will
and it's
say
probably going to be
it
one of
looks
those
gnarly
passive
though.
systems.
It definitely looks gnarly. I like it. But you're right. With the all-wheel
Yeah,
drive, it will definitely grip with the corners and such and such. And the
like
silly
weight, I
way
understand the weight.
you look at it now, though, it doesn't look like what it used to be. Remember how it looked like a roadster with a big V8 almost in a sense? It looks more.
Yeah,
It looks
compact.
more in competition with like the M4. Like it's like one of
Yeah,
those design cues, which I don't mind. I like it, but it's just
yeah.
interesting to
No,
see.
it's nice.
I like the new design though. The new design's nasty, like the whole front grill section and stuff. I'm not a big fan of the
Yeah,
rear. It looks like it came off of Alien from Lilo and Stitch, but other than that, like everything else about it just looks right to me.
you know, the rare, it's gonna have to grow on me. I feel like it's gonna be that new Mercedes design language. Like I think I saw I
Right
think it's the
there.
new S or the
Look at
new
that.
E class.
Look at that.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think it's the new E classes that are gonna have the similar like it's not the lights that look the same, but it's gonna have that like flat line across the top with the
Mm.
curves on the bottom, and you see the lights. I guess this is their new, you
But
know,
that engine,
their new
crazy,
language.
crazy power potential.
But
I'll still shove a 6.2 in there, but I would like to test my hands. I've yet to touch my hands on like a twin turbo V8, and I would besides like the 5.5 liter variant that came out of Mercedes, and that was like a GL63 or something like that. So I did touch that. Oh
yeah,
no, GL43, sorry, something like that. I have messed with those. I haven't messed with the Hot V at all. yet, and I would like to. I would definitely like to see one or try one. It's nice
Hmm.
because out of the big
Interesting.
three in Germany that builds a twin turbo 4 liter V8s, the big talk is that the Mercedes variant is the most reliable one.
I
Although
believe it. You know what? Out of
uh,
everything,
everyone messes
oh
with the
god,
Audi and BMW ones, like there's so much aftermarket parts for it, but the Mercedes one supposedly is
yeah,
the most reliable. I could
I
be
was gonna
wrong,
say I
but that's
believe
from
that
what I
because
heard.
it seems I believe it. The reason I tell you I believe it is because Mercedes, it's not their first twin turbo V8. You know, they experimented with the 4.7, which came in like the 550s at one point. Then they had the
The
six
five
threes, which came
the
with the 5.5s.
the 5.5s, yeah. The
Yep.
6.2
And
liters
then
are
they
just naturally aspirated, but they
then they
did,
shrunk it.
yeah, they shrunk it.
Then they shrunk it to a 4.0 afterwards and said, hey, we can make just as much power more efficiently with
And they have
smaller engine.
two variants. One of them, the GT, was like a cross plane crank, and the GT Black Series, whatever, was a flat plane crank twin turbo. I was like, holy
Yeah.
shit, you're basically competing with Ferrari at this point.
And it's like, you know, exactly, you're buying that. And that's why the Mercedes cost so much money. Because you're not getting just, you know, some package and label slapped on your car. Like, I'm calling out the Americans. I'm always going to know American brands because they don't try sometimes. They just think that hate to say it, they know their consumers are stupid, so they know they're gonna buy whatever and they'll just pay it. So the Germans know like, hey, they're gonna go in there and say, so what am I paying? What am I spending $150,000 for versus I can buy this for 120? Ah, sir, here's the list of everything that we've upgraded on the car.
Yeah, but
Worth it.
this
Not
Black
like you know what I
Series,
mean?
although I don't mind roasters. I'm just not a big fan of them. The way they made the AMG Black Series look, bonkers, so bonkers. But I like the new look now. Like they didn't go too far off the design. Like if
I was like, hey,
I may have to find a different
you
software
know
because
how I knew?
it's annoying how it crashed.
Yeah, you know how I saw saw on the stream it started slowing down. I was wait a minute.
Yeah, but
Okay.
back to what I was saying. Compared to now the new one, how it's more centralized is like they push everything from the roaster front, which is I'm
Yeah.
surprised they went that way, given the nature of the GT. How it's like a more
Yeah.
roaster-ish car, and obviously the GT Black Series is the race version of it. Oh, what did I do that? Whoa, whoa,
Yeah.
let's go back. What are we doing? There you go.
It's funny how big the hood is. Like the new one looks a little. It looks definitely looks slender now. You know what I mean? It looks
Oh, of
sleeker,
course.
slender. Like they shaped was like that look was always nice to
You
kind of
know
get
what I
that
like? You
feel
know
like
what
I
I
was
like
like that
about
about some cars.
the GT is the fact that they still put the M156 engine in it. So it's not like you can't put a different V8 and make the exhaust runners route that way. You don't have to worry about a lot of the shit that,
Yeah.
like, let's say if you were to engine swap, since the exhaust up top, they didn't make the front so skinny and shit like that. They made it wide to the point
Yeah,
where,
that's true.
yeah, we're gonna shove a 6.2 liter V8 in there, and like it just works. And I'm just like, wow,
Mm-hmm.
like it's crazy.
That was always interesting thing with them. They weren't always afraid to try things. I think that's why Mercedes won. Nissan Infinity was doing well. I felt like that's why Mercedes didn't mind a partnership with them. They were like, you know what, you're doing pretty well. You know, you do good performance applications. We like that. And then of course, Carlos Ghosn's whole mess and spilled it to the Mercedes said, yeah, we want more parts.
Fucking hell.
To this day, I still feel like that right there is what the Nissan shareholders and Nissan people should be mad about. They should be mad about not merging with Mercedes. But as everybody says, most companies who do merge with Mercedes usually get the short end of the stick. Look at Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep back in the day. Took interiors, the hand-me-down transmissions, the hand-me-down platforms. So hand-me-down computers.
Well, what do you expect?
But it's Mercedes. You know, they're not going to give you there and stuff. But as we know today, Mercedes quality people said it's falling off. So like I guess back in the day, yes, we felt like we got real wood today. Maybe the wood is only a quarter inch thick. You know what I mean? Like thin piece of wood. So versus back then, everything was solid aluminum. Now you're getting maybe just plastic covered in aluminum. So I understand why people are saying quality is dropping. Hey, that's what they're still giving you a decent product. And yes, you can go to Genesis. Oh, matter of fact, yeah, we talked about the Genesis method.
Yes, we
We
have.
Yeah, Genesis is king. That's all I have to say. So Mercedes has to watch out for a company like Genesis.
Uh yes and no.
They don't have any yet. They might not have any platforms or engines to compete yet, but who knows? Maybe in the future. Maybe in the future. Maybe they can get some of the BMW M engineers to work uh, on maybe they can get some of the engineers to work on that 5.0 Tau V8. I had to remember what it was. That engine that they spent millions of dollars engineering to design. First, they came out with a 4.6, which is kind of funny. They came out with their own
Which
4.6
brand
dual
is
overhead
this?
cam.
Which brand is this?
Genesis.
Nah,
Genesis.
I don't
So
think
in
so.
the beginning, and then now they have the 5.0 that makes 429 horsepower from the factory. Decent numbers for a 5.0 liter V8 from a Korean manufacturer.
If Genesis wants a way to shoot at the V8 monsters, they should. Actually, no, they can't even. I wouldn't even say team up with Aston Martin because Aston Martin uses Mercedes engines. I would.
5.0, right? 5.0
They would
Genesis
have to
coming
team.
out from the TV.
They would probably have a better chance with Ford. Yeah, Ford. They have a better chance of
Well,
competing.
but see, they have their own V8. I mean, they have the Tau V8
Aston
makes
Martin uses
420.
Mercedes
Well,
V8s.
but like you see, this is impressive. Pretty good, right? Right. 129 horsepower, 376 pound-feet of torque, right?
Hmm.
Kind of, I want to say, more on par with the Lexus V8, the 5.0, the 2UR, kind of in terms of power wise. But it's just not a performance engine, in my opinion. You know what I mean? The 2UR is built to rev out and be a performance engine. This is, I mean, let me not knock it. When it first came out, it was in the Genesis R spec model. So it came in the Genesis 4.6, then they had the Genesis 5.0 R spec, which you got the extra power, made it a nice little, cruiser,
Yeah.
little cruiser driving the streets, and if you'd beat people on Hyundai, it'd be funny. But maybe I want to see if there's any performance application because I want to see if anybody's taken this engine and actually done anything with it, like started to
It
mod it.
needs a lot of traction for it to be modded. But speaking of brands working together, dealerships are always hard to come by as far as a good working atmosphere. I know from too many previous, and Blake's heard a lot of horror stories. So,
Yes.
I mean, it's good to see this. Why should you apply to be a best dealership to work for? I guess this Volvo dealership in Nashville, Tennessee, has proven that you can do profits, be an outstanding dealership, and also care for your employees. Prospective employees see this recognition as validation for our commitment to a supportive and rewarding workplace. Internally, it strengthens our
Yeah.
culture by reinforcing the values we live by every day: teamwork, respect, and an unwavering dedication to our employees and customers alike. It's the perfect opportunity to have a shared focus on something a little different from our day to day sales and service efforts. Turnover levels at our locations that have won the award are noticeably lower than those still working towards it, which is also interesting. Read that one more time. Turnover levels at our locations that have won the award are noticeably lower than those still working towards it. It helps us in our market,
Mm,
especially helps us find the best candidates for hiring. We have seen better candidates applying and many more from other states,
no,
which is good. It's good that finally dealerships are, well, this particular dealership, um, especially with Sam Alimi of Audi Tyson's Corner, celebrates with colleagues at the dealership
yeah,
was honored at the 2024 Best Dealerships to work for a gala in Nashville. I like that. Fucking hard to work with
yeah.
dealerships that actually um, care about their peoples. I, fortunate enough, was able to
Hard.
find the dealership I'm working for, this Alpha dealership, because they actually do care for their mechanics, which I was quite surprised. And then come to find out, everyone that's a higher up has been a mechanic for 2 decades, so I can now see why. So,
Hey, that's really good. That's actually good to hear.
yeah, they actually like
That's good to hear,
understand,
actually.
like, yo, you need to get paid. I get it. Like, hold on, let me help you out. But that's
That's actually good.
this
I like
being
that.
one, and the one I work with being two out of how many dealerships there are in the U.S.
Yeah, I get it. It's hard to find a good caring dealership
It should be a standard the way this.
place of work.
It should be a standard the way this country's ran, but you know, it's more business oriented than an actual country.
Profits over everything, and things like that. Like we need money
Capitalism.
at its finest.
Plus, we throw a great party for the top 150 best dealerships to work for. The award celebrations, which will be held this year in Nashville at the Country's Music Hall of Fame. It's a can't miss event for networking and celebrating your team's success. How to apply to be a best dealership to work for? Interesting. Nah, that's nice to see though.
Yeah, that's good to see. It's always good to see when there's some places of work, especially dealerships, where some of those environments are hectic and hostile, and when they take care of their employees, especially the mechanics, the salesmen, everybody, it makes all that everybody as a whole work better, harder.
Well,
And I've noticed those dealerships are,
since
you
you're
know,
saying that, this first line basically just said what you said. Employees who feel valued, empowered, supported, and heard are not only more productive but also more likely to stay. And when you create a workplace people don't want to leave, the benefits extend far beyond retention. You foster innovation, collaboration, and a customer experience that sets you apart. It's exactly what you said.
customer experience, and that's what I wanted to say. Because a lot of dealerships, I remember walking in, and man, you can just tell all they cared about was making a sale. Like these are people. Fortunately, I have some car knowledge, so it's like I go in there knowing what I wanted in the car, and then like at the time I had a Cadillac SRX. I drove into the dealership, and I remember they just showed me. Uh, this was a Toyota dealership. This is why I was more offended. I was looking at a Highlander, right? And I said, okay, Highlander, those are nice. Those are nice family vehicles. Get the job done. Efficient, reliable Toyota,
Yeah.
be able to be resold. See, it's going to hold value. I preferred one with leather and, the panoramic roof and, maybe a nice colored interior seat because they did have peanut butter option as well, like Infinity, like Acura, and everybody else. And, you know, and this is on the dealership. This isn't on Toyota. They tried to show me a base model. I think it was a XL what? Not XLE. And it had cloth seats. Didn't even have automatic high beams. None of the driving assist features like, to keep you in the lane or like the radar cruise control, which I like for the highway.
Mm-hmm.
And they tried to charge me top dollar. I'll just disclose the price. They tried to say, "Oh yeah, 45,000 dollars. It's brand new, has no miles on it." I was offended because I could have made higher options, Acura or Infinity for about the same price. Now, fast forward, go down a couple days later. I go back in there, tell them, I looked at this car, looked at this car. Their whole demeanor switch. Hey, hold on, let me show you a car. They showed me a brand new Highlander. It's like a That the one they showed me at first was 2018. This time they showed me, I think, sorry, at the time it was 2019, 2018. That was what it was called. So they showed me a 2016, 2017 at first. This time they showed me a brand new 2018, plastic on the seats, black with peanut butter inside, or limited edition. I think it was limited platinum. I forget the exact one. Had the 360 camera, everything. I loved it. I was offended because when I walked in, you know how much she told me the price was? This thing would only be $46,000. So I'm like, you mean to tell me you tried to swindle me out of some money? As much as I wanted to get the car, and some days I'm like, that would have been a good car to get because I could have resold it or I tried to be here, no issues. But I guess I did need a bigger car and something that was like a truck.
Yeah.
And instead, long story short, I was actually really offended. I got in my car and I said, you know what, I'm not doing this. And I explained to them. And they even had their manager come over and they're like, no, we can make this right. I'm like, listen, there's nothing you can do. I don't care how much warranty you give me, but what you just told me, I want the car for 42. And you know what? They did tell me they were going to give me the car for 42. But I still said no because it just almost felt like a slap in the face. I'll just say that. But I understand why. They did that because they seen the car I drove in was a Cadillac. And of course they assumed, hey, you're driving the Cadillac. You have Cadillac money to waste. Hey, suppose you use Cadillac people. I got it for a good deal. And I kept it clean. But it was a good car. I mean, I'm not doing nothing to say. It was a good car, but had its issues. So it was time to move on.
Of course.
But
You should have went to
the story.
Toyota.
So customer experience is very crucial.
You should have went to Toyota Watertown.
Another Toyota. Yeah, I bet you, and I bet you if I went in there, I probably would have walked out with a car, and it would have been a Toyota. Hell, it probably would have been a Sequoia or Tundra. I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna give it a Tundra, V8 Tundra.
Oh man, I'm only saying
But
that because my pops is there. But
dealerships, every dealership. I know why you're saying that. I'd have been like, yeah, I'm going in service and getting this. You guys have the package like a detail here too. But yeah, oh man. But yeah, no, dealership experience is very crucial because like some dealerships I felt wanted, like there was the accurate dealership. I went in there and almost signed for MDX. They brought me in there, made me feel welcome. Um, Fortunately, the Infinity dealership my city from before they got bought out was a really nice experience. You go in there, they always had a loaner for you. It didn't matter if you had an oil change and you needed to go back to work. There's a loaner. Pick up your car after work. It was great. They always had food, snacks, and sometimes they would even offer to come pick me up. So it was a good experience. But
nice.
then they were bought by another company.
He said, "Damn."
Man, and I hate going to the dealership. I actually would. There were times where the car, I would try to do the oil change, when the dealer specified, which I think was like 6 to 12,000. So I'd come in early and just pay. And there were times where they would make me wait 2.5 hours, 3 hours. Then they would try to say, "Hey, yeah, you could drive this car, but you sure don't want to trade your car in?" Or they're telling me I need more work than I really need. Or my favorite, they told me my radiator was clogged. And to this day, I still want. I just wish I could find it. I should have called Fox. Well, what was it Fix It Fox? I forget what the name of that crew is. Or whatever. I should have called them because honestly, it was mind blowing for them to say that because I'm like, well, so you're telling me my radiator is clogged, but you got my car. I remember the guy and the lady just standing there. Mind you, this was their mechanic. That's why people, mechanics are created equal, just like doctors are created equal. So when somebody has knowledge, please listen to them and value them because you can find a mechanic that works like that. I know he can say it. He's probably encountered some people where he's like, I feel bad for that customer.
Yeah.
Like, man, the
Well, not
customer
only
might
I
be
feel
back here
bad
in a
for
couple
that.
days.
It's not only I feel bad for that customer. Is sometimes I hear the bullshit getting swinged, and I'm just like, come on, like someone with common sense is gonna know that this is bullshit. Like, I'm not saying try to sell a
Yeah.
story, but just tell the truth. Like, if it needs shit, it needs shit. If it don't need
Yeah,
shit,
this was all messed
it
up.
don't need shit. I'm not gonna sit here and you have like an immaculate Toyota that, let's say, has a leak in a time and cover unit, you need a time and cover reseal. You're just gonna if you don't want to do time and cover reseal, just keep an eye on the oil, do a quart every now and then, call it a day. If you don't want to spend the money, like I get it, people are cheap every now and then. Like
Yeah,
it's okay to be cheap, but
yeah,
when you're over excessively cheap to where I see a bunch of aftermarket shit and you're coming here for a problem that has no history for, that's when I get pissed. I'm like, all right, you're looking for now more of an expertise, and I don't know what's going on with the
mhm,
car. I see wires everywhere. I see this. I see that. That's where I'm like, yeah, now you piss me off. But if you come here, like you don't have to do brakes here, but like everything's immaculate. Let's say there was a problem like a sensor or some shit and you've done it at a dealership. Alright, I respect that. Like brakes are a wear and tear item. They get flipped around
yeah,
endlessly. Tires are a wear and tear item. Serpentine belts are a wear and tear item. Like I get it. But like shit like that where like there's certain diagnosis to where you went to the dealership for, that's like my limit. I'm like, alright, at least you went to the dealership for certain problems
yeah,
where I can at least trace and see what's going on versus this has been done in the driveway his whole life, and the one time it actually has an issue where you have no other choice, then you go, but then you will only pay the fee to diagnose, and if you find out the situation, oh yeah, we figured out the problem and needs this and this, then they just take their car and leave and just do it somewhere else like that. I'm like, all right, whatever. You pay the diag fee, which is stupid, but at the same time, it's like you're already here, you're paying the diag. You might as well just get the shit done right the first time, because then you leave and you come back. Oh yeah, I have a different problem. You said it was no, no, no. This what happened? Because like, did he put in a sensor? Did he put in an aftermarket sensor? Is the aftermarket sensor good? Like more likely it isn't. First and foremost, because even though you go to AutoZone and get the best sensor they have, like a Delphi or an AC Delco or a Denso or NGK, whatever it may be, Bosch, I don't care. Like, you're cutting
yeah.
you're cutting the brand and going straight to the source, which I get, but sometimes, depending on how they're stored, depending on how they're used, they don't work properly. Like, I ran through two alpha coolant temp sensors, strictly like they're straight alpha, like FCA, and it's like, unfortunately, the alpha one just shit the bed. Like, but that's a rare occurrence versus what you get at an AutoZone place. So, it's just like that
Mhm.
annoys me. But like when it comes to certain repairs and at least there's history on it, then I'm like, just tell them the truth. It's like,
Yeah,
even if the car's has everything done at the dealership, to the brakes, to the tires, to the lug nuts, whatever it may be, just tell them the truth. Like, oh, after that, it needs no issues. Oh, it needs this. It's about this much. Yeah, that's a little expensive. It was like, if you don't want to pay it, I get it. It's like, just keep an eye on your oil. Like, we could tell you that, but we're not liable giving you that information. So you can't be like, oh, you told me to do this, and now blah blah. Like, no, 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 no. We told you we needed this.
exactly. And
If
people,
you don't
you're
want
right.
to
There are
do it,
people that go in there.
if you don't want to do it,
There
that's
are people.
fine. I get it. Like it's expensive. Just we're just giving you our best advice. Doesn't mean it's going to work. It's just we've seen a lower failure rate going through that advice. So try it, and if it doesn't work for you, then you really have a bad oil leak to where a quart's not enough every now and then. Maybe you need more than that. Who knows? You can't just
Yeah,
rely on the information like that. I get it. It's coming from the
it's
dealership.
true.
It's coming from a service advisor, and sometimes if you're talking to a technician, it's coming from the technician, like myself. I've ran into a lot of situations like I get. If you don't want to pay the money, I get it. If you follow these steps, maybe it might work. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it's going to solve your issue. You are still going to have this issue. It's just the fact that if it's not done and you're looking for a cheaper alternative, you could go the cheaper alternative, like let's say, for example, filling up your oil every now and then. How many quarts of oil are you gonna fill up to the point where you equal the price of the repair for the rest of his life? Then you probably won't equal it. You probably only spend like a few $100, and then you go to sell it to somewhere else, and it's that other guy or other girl or whatever, however they want to pronounce themselves, has a car, and then they run into an issue where it starts out of oil out of nowhere, like a low oil light or some BS like that. Then they do the responsible thing and
That's
bring it
true.
to the dealer, and then they're gonna get the same shafu, like, oh, it's too expensive. It's like, I didn't tell you to buy the car first and foremost. I'm just telling you that the issue.
Yeah, true.
I'm just telling you the issue that I had previously. Well, how do you know? we don't trace these cars by. Although it's good to trace these cars by the first and last name, it's never by the first and last name. It's by the VIN. Whenever we're doing an inquiry, it's a VIN inquiry. It's not a first and last name inquiry. So judging by the VIN from what I
Yeah.
look up, and I look up the information that it had, it shows this. And I look and look, it's
Oh,
still
you've
present.
experienced some interesting customers, I guess. Huh? You've experienced them all. You've experienced some interesting
The
individuals, I
the
see.
most interesting and I guess the most bullshit of a lot of customers, believe it or not, it's tied. I would say it will be Lexus and Chrysler. Lexus, I thought was gonna be a little different when I worked for them, but then a lot of the cars like the older 330s, 300s, all that stuff, the ES, LS, LX, not LX, ES, LX owners actually spend money. Um, the ES, the GS, the IS,
I
and
can, I can,
the
I'll say
RX,
why.
like those,
Those are different type of owners.
which is fine. Like you want
LS owners have money.
LS owners have
That's
money
those are
to an
those are people with money.
all right. LS owners have money to an extent, but at the same time, they they understand once they go into a Lexus dealership for a certain issue that it just has to be dealt with. So like, although they will be cheap about it at first, they understand that people who own LXs is they just spend money, like regardless. But
Yeah,
they rarely have any
yeah. I'm gonna
issues.
say,
They rarely have any issues to be honest. The GX
well, that's
owners
a Land Cruiser.
the GX owners are
Should
a
rarely have
mix.
issues, I bet too.
The GX owners are a mix between the two. Like you get customers that would want to spend on the GX because that's like the soccer mom vehicle. Like that's literally
Yeah,
that's
it,
you think
it's
soccer mom
really
vehicle? You
it's
think
like
Cadillac
basically.
Escalade or LXGX 460? That's what
I
you
was gonna
think.
say, cause I'm gonna say, yeah, because I mean, basically, it's still some call it here that here basically a Land Cruiser Prado, which is now what the new Land Cruiser is in the U.S. Which is why the new GX four, did they still? Oh no, the new GX 550 they call it is
Yeah,
now essentially looks the same like the new Land Cruiser because in the U.S. they want. I still think they missed the market here. They should have just called it exactly what they call it around the world. Just like how Nissan shouldn't be calling the Armada an Armada, it should be Patrol. Hey, Land Cruiser, Prado. Not, I get it, GX, Lexus, so again, they got to luxurify it up a little bit,
of course.
sell it for more money. They know it's harder to sell. Nissan said the same thing. It's hard to sell an $80,000, $90,000 Nissan, but now that people know what the SUV is,
No,
some
no, no,
people
no.
are like, okay, I'll
You,
buy it.
yeah.
Toyota had a hard time with
People
the Land
like
Cruiser too.
you know. People like you know. The masses don't know. They still don't
Yeah,
know.
won't. Just like people with the like Toyota with the Land Cruiser. People who knew would go buy a Land Cruiser and know that they're gonna have that car maybe 20, 30 years down the line and still go off road, still take their family and
Of
still
course.
be comfortable. Where the Americans, yes, the masses, everybody else would just say, give me a Yukon, give me an Expedition, give me a Tahoe, or give me what was it Chrysler? Give me an Aston, or give me a Durango. You know what I mean? Or give me a Commander, and those all those things
There's
would
a
actually, I hate to
and
say,
then
eventually break down or have issues.
and when the thing is when you buy a new car, and I talk to a lot of the salesmen because I kind of sometimes they come out back and like you shoot the shit whatever, but a lot of them say
Yeah.
even the one I work with, his name's we call him Z. His thing is like he's like 95% of customers when they come to buy a new car, they more likely care about the
Hmm.
color and the fact that it's an Alfa Romeo. It's like that's it. There's like the only people that actually come for a quadrifolio
Yeah.
will ask questions like what you asked, Rodney. He's like that's
Those
what
are
he
the
tells me.
knowledgeable ones.
He's like they ask
Those are
questions
the
like you asked, like
enthusiasts.
oh what type of like the engine, the specs, and this and that because
Yeah.
it's a quadrifolio. People actually know what they're getting into when it comes to a
They
quad.
know they know what they're
But
getting.
if you're
Other
getting a
people,
regular Stelvio, regular Giulia, regular Tonali, Ronnie, that's what he tells me. He's like, all they care about is the color and whether it be an SUV, four door sedan, and that's pretty much it. And if it has Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and that's pretty much it.
watch this. I'm gonna some those type of customers too. It's like Mercedes customers. I'm not knocking anybody that has a CLA, But
No.
it's
I
like
see what I see
Mercedes
where you're going. I see
customers
where
who
you're going.
get it. They you know exactly where I'm going. They're like, I want a Mercedes. They get a CLA. I'm not saying the CLA isn't a nice car, but that's the budget Mercedes. Back in the day, it was a C class, but at least now the C class has some stature to it,
Yeah,
has
it
some
grew.
respect
It
to
grew
it.
crazy.
Um, it grew significantly. C class in the 3 Series, the little one, only the little small car. Now you see people getting X1s. You know what I mean for the
Yeah.
budget BMWs, or so those customers, you're right. They'll go in there. Yeah, like I get why he said that. They're just like, hey, what color is it? It's a Mercedes, or hey, it's an Alpha. Okay, cool. Or hey, this is a BMW, or hey, this is an Audi. They don't even care. They don't care what engine comes in it. As long as it goes, it starts up, it moves. They're happy with it. It's honestly the same. It was just as bad with some Charger owners and Challenger owners. You see them look at the 6 cylinder, the GTs. They're rolling around like they got SRTs,
Oh yeah, of
badging them
course.
like Hellcats and then Scat Packs.
I agree.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I see what you mean. That's how a lot of the masses, when it comes to cars, that's how a lot of them are. Where once you know the car a little bit or somewhat
Yeah, and
knowledgeable,
that's why I say
you're gonna.
and that's why I say unfortunately, like in your case, yeah, you are one of the few people that know,
You're
but
absolutely right.
compared to the masses, it's not like that at all. They
You're
just
right
a lot of times they care about the
because
color, if it comes with the features they want, if they researched it, if not, whether if their missus likes it, which is another big category, and the brand alone, like
yeah,
whether it be Lexus, Acura, Alfa,
yeah,
Maserati,
yeah,
the big three in Germany, Porsche,
yeah.
now Ferrari makes it SUV. They're
You're
hitting
right.
that market. Lamborghini
Or
Urus.
or a Cadillac. It has to be an Escalade.
Exactly. So
'Cause
all they
you're
care.
right. I've had people tell me like, how come you didn't get Escalade? And I'm like, I looked at them and they weren't as reliable. And they're like, hmm. And then after that, I understand why. Because of course, if they get into it or they realize after seeing people that they know get Escalade or Yukon or something like that, they're like, this is such a nice car, but why is it breaking so much? And it's like,
That's what. But that's
gremlins,
and that's
stupid
kind
gremlins.
of and that's kind of what kills a brand because then they realize that all they need is a big Chevy Suburban.
Exactly. And that's why a lot of people, they're like, wait, so wait, you need to tell me the Tahoe? And I'm like, yeah, go ahead, get that Tahoe. Stop trying to keep up with the Joneses. Stop trying to look the part. Get the vehicle that works. And that's kind of exactly how I ended up in the Infinity. Because in all honesty, I got it priced as a Durango. And I got so much more car than a Durango. I got as much car as an Escalade. And I was just like,
And I'm
in the end, of course, in the beginning, young mindset, I'm like, I wanted the Escalade. Now, in retrospect, I have no regrets at all. At all.
and
And I enjoy it.
I'm surprised that a lot of your electronics still work.
This is why, you've always told me, get a Japanese car, get a Lexus, get a Toyota. And I'm like, hey, unfortunately, I got a Nissan.
Well,
Unfortunately,
you
and
got an
fortunately.
Infinity.
But I will say, hey, I got it. And I will say, the Japanese just does it better. I think I told you earlier with the Yukon, the
Mm.
computer being notorious for bricking. That's that's something that you wouldn't see that with like the Japanese car has to be maybe from the 80s, 90s. You know what I mean? Where it's been through a lot, and of course it's now 30, 40 years old. Okay, yeah, cool. I expected to have some issues, but for American cars, they're only got maybe 5 years old, 10 years old, already exhibiting problems.
Yeah,
The Japanese just do it better when it comes to making a car for the people.
of course. But hey, dealership experience aside, especially depending on where you go, a lot of these,
Yeah,
I'm not saying don't buy a brand new car. What I will say is find a car for the right price, and more likely you won't lose a lot to do depreciation. That's all I'm saying. But people are not going to do that type of research, and I get it because again, it goes back to the masses what they actually do. like don't buy a
exactly. You're
like
absolutely
don't
right.
buy it like don't buy a brand new Alfa Romeo Quadrifoglio. Don't do that. Don't
Yeah,
do that. That's like
don't buy a
as
brand
much
new
as I like
luxury
Alpha,
SUV,
as much as I like
luxury
Alpha,
car.
I like the fact that someone on Ferrari side designed a couple of things for Alpha. The price is ridiculous. Ridiculous.
But but we're getting some Ferrari DNA. But yes,
Well,
the
that
price
is
is
literally
ridiculous.
it's
I wish they
practically a
didn't. I wish they just
Ferrari
didn't
engine.
appreciate as bad.
It's practically
I
a
wish they didn't
Ferrari
appreciate
engine.
as bad.
I no,
I,
don't say
I feel
that.
like they
Don't
only
don't
depreciate
say
because of
that.
Maserati.
Don't say that. I don't mind them depreciating because now I can afford them.
Agreed. Agreed. I just feel like people looking at the pre, like for example, it's like the Supra, right? At one point, the Supra, I remember it hit like a bottom dollar, like 20,000, 23,000 for a turbo, two JZ, GTE, 6 speed. I remember back in the day looking, man, I can't wait to get older. I'm gonna buy that as my first car, and that's gonna be the car. And then here we are later on. Now somehow they went down, and then they went. They were always, when they came out like what 50,000, then they went up, down. Then they just went,
They skyrocketed.
and now it's like, hey, I wanted one of those. And they're like, yeah, well, it's gonna cost you about 60 to 80,000 now, which I get for what it is, like the relic that it is.
No, I
But
don't
it's
get it.
like,
I don't
damn,
get it. I don't get it. I can't justify paying more than $50,000 for a quarter century old car.
yeah,
Anything
no,
older
you
than a
see, and that's how I
anything
felt.
anything older than a quarter century that will not hold value later on, I don't understand why I'm spending $50,000. I don't care if it's an R34 GTR, R33, or like the R32 is probably the only one that's affordable for that age gap. But even then, $30,000 is still $30 to $40,000 is still expensive for a almost
No,
40-year-old car.
this
40,
is
not
coming
just
from you.
yes, it's coming
You
from
wouldn't
me
get an R34 or a Super.
for for more than 50. Are you insane?
I am, and
At
only
that
because they
no,
don't make them
Blake.
anymore.
At that
I get
point,
it. I get
if it's
it. I
50,
get
if
it.
I have
You're
fifty
right. You're
thousand
right.
dollars,
50.
if I have $50,000, one or two things, I am finding
There's so many other
a,
cars I can
I
get.
am
You're right.
finding a used Julia for 35 and slapping turbos on that motherfucker, or I'm finding a 2008 GTR with 60,000 miles for 50,000,
Yeah.
or I'll
Or
find,
maybe a 4 Series
or
M4,
I'll wait
M3.
2 years and get the G80 M4, G82 M4. Like, come on, for
Yeah.
50,000, there's a lot more options. Granted, those are
There's
the
so many other, and,
Halos.
and then the funny thing is, and guess what? They're not even modified. They're just some of them are bone stock, which means you're gonna have to
Exactly,
go through it, and they're gonna
exactly.
be slow. Everybody's like, and that's it's like those things when people meet the heroes. I always like I always like that comment because people are like, I want a super, I want a super, and it's like, no, no, you don't, you don't, because by the time you get that super, you're gonna realize, damn, this thing is not as fast as I thought. No, most of the people that you see, especially online, modified. A car that was actually fast in the factory was a Terminator Cobra.
But then,
And
they,
a lot of
but
people fail
even
to realize
then,
you still have to modify.
a mid
And
condition
Cobras are going
SV,
up too.
like a mid condition SVT Ford Mustang Cobra, is still 60,000.
Like 20, yeah. Oh wait, really? Oh yeah,
A
yeah,
mid
yeah, yeah.
condition. We're
I was gonna
talking
say
mid
used,
condition.
yeah, used. Probably get one.
That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
20,
Like
30, maybe 40.
for 50 grand, like you know what?
And at least the Terminator is still
I'll
gonna be able to
I'll
keep.
say this for example, right? The BMW G20 M340i X-Drive, the newest BMW with the B58, right? The price
Uh,
up there for 2022, 2023, right? The price up north is about 45 to 50, right? Down here
yeah,
it's 35.
yeah.
That just shows you the gap in just state to state market. Like I'm saving 15 grand and I could just throw a bunch of shit at it versus buying it brand new up north and only have 5 grand left. So we're not only talking about what you can buy for the money, it's the state to state market. Florida just has a cheaper market. Georgia has a cheaper market. Alabama has a cheaper market. South Carolina, 50-50. North Carolina, 50-50. Up north, New York, Massachusetts, forget about it.
Yeah,
But
true.
but that's because those states
That's
produce a
true.
shit ton of money. So you're going to spend that type of money.
Yeah, you're gonna spend a pretty good amount of money,
But that's just like there's way too many
especially those days. Yeah.
there's way too many cars for $50,000 that I will buy. Way too many.
You know what? You got a point. You have an actual point there because now as I think about it more, as much as I want to you know have one, be able to say yeah that's my car, but it's just not logical for someone to spend that type of money on one of those cars, especially nowadays. You know what I mean? Especially today. Like today, there's so many other performance values and bargains you can get. I mean, hell, you can even get a used Hellcat at one
I
point.
got you. I got a little list right here just from Google. Before I even click on one of the links, I got a little list. This is from Google before I even click on the website. Ford Mustang 2025 Alfa Romeo Giulia, like I just said earlier. Honda
Okay.
Civic, but
All right.
obviously the Quadrifoglio you get a 2020 is the exact same price, if not cheaper. Honda, hold on. Honda Civic Type
Yep.
R, Toyota Supra, 2024 Kia Telluride, 2025 Mercedes-Benz C-Class, Volkswagen Atlas, BMW 2 Series, Camaro, MX-5 Miata, Volkswagen Golf R, 24 WRX, Infiniti Q60, the Ioniq 5, Genesis G70, Tesla Model 3, 2023 Dodge Challenger, 25 Mazda CX-90, and Subaru BRZ. Now let me click on this website, Motor Trend, let's say. We got
Mhm.
SUVs under 50K, and there's a 96 car layout for SUVs under 50K, including the GMC Terrain, which isn't bad but isn't all that great. Toyota RAV4 Hybrid, Jeep Wrangler, which I'm quite surprised, probably depending on the options. Acura ADX, Alfa Romeo Tonale, the Lexus UX, I'll definitely get. That shit looks bonkers. The Ford Bronco, Dodge Durango, which I'm quite surprised. The Grand Cherokee
Believe it.
L, Honda Pilot, Toyota 4Runner. I'm forgetting my own SUV. Shit. The X1,
Under
the
50.
Lexus NX, the BMW X2. I think the X3M you could get for that price too, which has the S58 in the SUV, all-wheel drive. Mercedes GLB class like
Wait,
this.
did you say X2? M?
The X2, yeah.
I have to look that up for myself. Thank you for telling me that. You can continue.
The X3M is the X3M is also under 50K, and that has the S58 that's in the M3 M4.
But the X2 is my definitely lighter, huh?
I wouldn't say as
Oh, it's
lighter. I
F35.
wouldn't say lighter like crazy, but just as light. For
It has a
sedans,
four-cylinder. Never mind.
yeah.
You
For
want
sed-
you want the X3M.
yeah, X3M. For sedans, you got the Toyota Crown, the BMW 2 Series, the Lexus IS, the WRX, the Cadillac CT4, the Corolla, the Audi A3, the G70, the Giulia, the Q50, the Volvo X60, which is one of your favorites, the BMW 3 Series, the Cadillac CT5, the
That
Audi
Cadillac
A5,
CT5.
the Audi S3, the BMW 4 Series, the Polestar. Like, there's way too many Jaguar XF. I'm not even including that, but trucks, hatchbacks, and wagons. It's just way too many options. Vans, hybrids, electrics, coupes. Oh, you know what? Let's go to coupes. Camaro, Mustang, 2 Series, Z, Lexus RC, A5, Supra, 4 Series. Now let's go to convertibles. Miata, Mustang, Camaro, A5, 4 Series, and Mini Cooper. There's just way too many cars. And the newer year for that price, not even mentioning a 2018 Quadrifoglio or your Infinity
Yeah,
QX80 or, um, a Lexus LX570
yeah.
or any of those cars.
I was gonna say, so many other cars you can get. Hell, I just found out Toyota made a Tundra that was supercharged from the factory,
TRD
and that was
Pros.
considered the fastest truck. Yeah, now it's considered the fastest production truck for a while, even though it wasn't production, but it's dealer. So this dealer option truck you can buy.
Yeah, it wasn't a production, it was a dealer. It was the hell. It was the TRX before the TRX, but it wasn't. a
Mhm.
production truck. It was a production optioned out truck.
It was a Toyota. It was Toyota's Ford Lightning modernized
You
reliability
got that.
and more power.
You got that. I'll give you
Just
that.
like they had the Tacoma with a supercharger, which was like basically what everybody wanted to do with a Ranger, but the Tacoma came like that.
Fucking. But yeah, there's way too many options for that type of price. But speaking of options, you might have more depending on if there's J of the Leno law that might take effect to relax the smog rules for California classic cars. Look, if you want classic
Uh,
cars and you want to not be caught by the cops for stupid shit, don't go to California. That's the way I'm looking at it. But
don't don't look out. Do not.
but California Senate Bill 712 aims to expand emissions exemptions to vehicles at least 35 years old. Well, my vehicle's almost 30. The exemption required the car to be insured as a collector. Wow, that's the only reason. One of the bill's biggest backers is
One of
Jay
those
Leno,
things.
to the point that it's being called Leno's Law. Which, so let's just do a little wrap up. California Senate Bill 712, set to go before the state's Transportation Committee next month, aims to provide a smog testing exemption for cars built in 1990 and earlier. It can't just be a daily driver either, but a vehicle insured as a collector's car. And one of the biggest names of California's car collection
Mm,
has put his weight behind the issue. In fact, SB 712 has picked up the nickname Leno's Law, as Jay Leno has been outspoken about the need to relax emission regulations for classic cars. I get it. California has such an
yeah.
sense. Oh, I forgot about this. Had such an exemption in place when Arnold Schwarzenegger was governor, a rolling 30-year-old exemption for older cars. This was pushed current to pre-1976 regulations in 2005. Look, this is stupid. It's a classic car. Like,
Yeah. 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 It's like, come on. It's already old. Like, just let it do its thing. So
like,
they were so right now they currently require these cars to still pass emissions.
yes.
That's what they.
I think they're required to pass. You know what? I think, you know what I think what it is? I think I might be wrong.
Certain portions.
I think they're required to pass emissions for what the laws were set in the year it came out. I think that's what it is. I might be wrong. I might be. They might have to pass today's emissions. I don't know. I'm not. I'm not a big fan of California's emissions. I'm not a big fan of a lot of California things. Although the state is quite beautiful and they have a lot of, a lot of things that go for them.
Mhm.
There's a lot of things that also go against them. I almost started moving over there before
Yeah.
I moved to Florida, but
Yep. It's exempt for certain portions of the existing emissions test, but now it'll just extend it to be full exemption, so they won't have to pass it at
so
all.
yeah,
And I mean that makes. I mean, I like how, like, for example, that's my favorite thing about Mass. I mean, once your car hits, was it 15 years old?
yeah, no state
One
inspection.
thing I forget exactly. Yeah, you don't got to do. All you got to do is pass safety, which
But you know
I
what's
love.
interesting about the 15-year rule as far as emissions in Massachusetts? The average age of a car in the U.S. is between 12 and 14 years old. So you're already near that marker.
Exactly. So let's let everybody get away with it now. It's like, come on.
They saying broadly the SB 712 appeals to common sense that will make life a lot easier for classic car owners in California. It can be tricky to get a European or Japanese market import through the emissions tests as they are written, and some shops will simply turn away older cars as the technicians may not be trained on older smog compliance equipment. Yeah, okay, so I was right. They have to pass older smog rules at that time. This obviously bill once it passed, it would alleviate that. But for when the car came out, it had to pass those smog rules of when it came out. With the exemption in
Makes
place,
sense.
keeping an older car on the road requires less red tape. Instead, all you need to worry about is getting up on time and making an early Sunday AM cars and coffee. I don't mind it, but for the fact you have to register it as a collector's car, that's just all right. You got rid of a problem, but you added another one. It's like,
Exactly. They created a new problem,
I mean,
which
granted, Jay Leno owns a lot of old cars, and he doesn't drive the old cars like that as a daily driver. So for people who have it, sorry for you, but it ain't gonna work like that unless you got Jay Leno money.
exactly. That's why I'm like, this law is really. I see what they call it, Jay Leno's law.
What's Leno's law?
It's law. I see what they call it, Leno's law, because it's gonna help him and other people with money that have a lot of classic cars. But for the regular everybody else, every average citizen, fortunately, we don't have Jay Leno money
Yo,
yet.
all I'm saying is worry about the state. Worry about the state as far as why the hell y'all igniting fires. Not trying to be a dick, but
Yeah,
like
worry about
there's
yeah, do
way
worry
too much
about
to
that.
worry about than it's not like smog and all these cars is causing wildfires. It's causing the increased pollution of the increased population of what is it, the homelessness. It's not doing any of this shit. So I don't understand why they're focused on that and not a lot of other shit about the state that's wrong. But whatever.
Exactly.
But
So much
Amer-
else going on,
America
but
is a business.
big business.
EPA dismantles. Oh, that's related stories to it. Whatever. California's gonna ban gas-powered lawn. Oh, this you can't make this shit up.
Oh yeah, you did. Oh yeah.
Yo, no
Oh
way.
yeah. Oh yeah.
No way.
I thought you heard about that.
I thought they were playing around with the idea. I didn't know they were actually taking it serious.
Listen, and with all due respect, and I say this in the most respectfully way, but a lot of tree huggers, it's California is known for the tree huggers,
But
and
I
and I say
understand
that in the
that,
most
but
respectful way.
why? Like what are we getting at
They
here?
ain't believe. So that's why, again, I wasn't knocking the whole EV thing. Like, I think they're okay for us to coexist with. I didn't like how they try to push it upon everybody. But yeah, California was one of those places where they literally were ready to ban everything gas.
Yeah, that obviously went out the window.
Mm-hmm.
That's like, yo, California, man. Holy shit. You should have left that to
Yeah,
Mexico. Holy fuck. Straight up, they're
yeah,
treating that
no,
place
it's
like regulations wise. It's literally almost. It's not a dictatorship. I wouldn't say it's a dictatorship because that's kind of fucked up. But like, it's mad stringent. Like, what is going on here? Like, why do you need? Why is all these rules in place in one state?
exactly
One state, not all states, just one.
all one state, not all one, because everybody I don't know. It's because California was the place everybody rushed down to, so they use that as the example, and that's why people always make the joke and says, "Mass wants to be little California," and that's why sometimes I don't like the rules that they put in place in Mass, because sometimes it seems like they're following California.
But for what? Like, what? Why do you think that? Why does Mass think they could? Like, the way I look at it is the status of Cali, LA alone. You know what? I'm not even talking about Cali. LA alone, the status of that is severely upmarked versus any state, any
Ma-
city in Massachusetts. Boston is probably the only representable example, but even then, it's you, you don't have that torch to be carrying around like that. New York, more likely. I get it. Miami and Florida,
yeah,
more likely. I get it. Texas, I I don't get, but I could see why. LA, definitely. Like, they unfortunately have that presence. But as a state
yeah,
as a whole, the only two, I guess, states that can actually compete with each other is like New York and Cali. Florida, you probably make a good
but
third place runner up.
so I've always said that I thought Florida would be better than Mass, but believe it or not, somehow Mass we're always either outpacing New York or Cali in something, and it's weird. It's weird, not weird, but it's understandable because Mass, although we don't have as much. beauty in our city. Meaning, like we have beautiful terrain in its own way. Meaning, if people want to see pine trees and like the pilgrims and stuff like that, yeah, you know what I mean, like the old heritage stuff like that, yeah. But if you want to see nice, beautiful beaches, you know what I mean, nice colors, a more like Florida has a tropical environment. California doesn't has almost that, but they also have like you have snow in the mountains, and then, so you get a
Yeah, because
range of all
California is a
kinds.
long
Yeah,
state.
exactly. So you get some of everything in there. Um, but I don't know. Mass has a lot of money in a sense. So Mass has a lot of old money, which is why I always laugh. I forget they call what do they call it? The Commonwealth. And I always laugh coming. I noticed they put the word wealth in there. So I'm like, it's the Commonwealth, all the wealth of everybody.
The Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
Yeah,
Oh man, that state alone is a business.
yeah, it is.
Jesus.
That state is so like so. The thing about Mass. The state is they tax you on everything. So, like you said, everything's a business. So it's like, you get taxed a lot on your car every year. You got to pay excise tax. For people who don't know, yes, if you're in Mass, you pay excise tax every year in your car. Then you got to pay tax when you buy the car. And then, obviously you get taxed on your paycheck. You're gonna pay tax when you register your
Why do you think
car.
they call
Tax
Massachusetts Taxachusetts?
Massachusetts. So I was gonna say, just to sum it up, no matter what you do, you're gonna pay taxes. Hey, guess what? If you had a boat or a jet ski, an ATV or a quad, you gotta register that if you want it to be legal and legit in the state, and they're gonna tax you on that excise tax every year.
If you want to fish, you got to pay for a license, and you get taxed for that license. And you can only fish a certain amount of fish. The big fish you got to throw back, so you're not even eating good.
Yep, exactly. You're eating little tuna. You're not eating bait tuna.
Yeah, you're not even eating bass or shit like that. Anything what is above a certain weight or height, you got to throw back in the ocean.
Yep, or else and don't let them catch you.
Yeah, don't let them catch you. The EPA, I remember working at it when I was doing a gas line, and they ran out of. They didn't run out of. They didn't have a certain amount of cops on call for to do the streets. They had a they had an
Yep.
EPA officer with us. I was like, oh great! I can't wait to fuck this up.
Yeah.
It was like an EPA officer, and then one other time we had like a forest ranger or whatever. I was like,
Oh
what? We
wow.
have these as like standing officials, and like the dude had binoculars and
Wow.
everything. It was cool. Like it was cool to see, but at the same time, I was like, if I fuck something up and he's looking, I am screwed. I am so
Yep.
screwed.
He's like, what you doing there?
It was just installing the gas line.
Yeah, okay. Do you have a permit to be?
Hey,
I'm just here to work.
your state hired me. Your state hired me. Go talk to them.
Like, you go talk to the state. I'm just here to do my job.
Exactly. Your
Yeah.
state, the state you're standing on, hired me.
hmm I'm on state property.
Hmm. Fucking hell. But it's
Funny.
crazy. It was crazy to see. That was an interesting that was an interesting memory to see. Just like seeing them two, like one EPA officer one day, and then one like ranger. I think it's like a forest ranger, whatever they want to call it. Another day. It was. I was like,
Um,
wow. I was like, wait a second. Y'all can control, like, y'all can like direct traffic, control streets, all that shit. Like, why they call you? Like, no one filled
yeah.
in, so I filled in.
Like
I
if
was
you,
like,
it's like y'all can do this. Yeah. So you guys can do everything.
oh man, it was just interesting. I just told him I was like, hey, if you see any grass in my truck, don't say nothing. He was like giving me a look, and I was like, oh, I'm just kidding. He was like, yeah, I figured.
he's like, he's like, yeah, let me follow you to your car. You're like, oh, hey, so I was just kidding. All right, go
He was
ahead,
like,
take
I
a
was
look.
really kidding, bro. Relax, like relax. Ain't no grass,
Right,
B.
right, right. You're like, all right, pop the truck. It's a sub.
Next thing you know, it's like 4 pounds of weed. Like, the hell.
Right? He's like, you're like, how'd I get these? Like, yeah, I planned for this. My job. I'm the state
Next thing you
ranger.
know, then I got the EPA raiding me. Like the hell?
Right? EPA is like, yeah, we put a quad at your house too.
Fucking hell, this dude. Ah, gotta cut up.
Yeah.
Gotta cut up. Cut up. Cut up. Speaking of cut up. Speaking of Lee. Speaking of all that BS. Let's
Oh,
carve up some
oh,
codfish
yeah.
with this Nismo Z inspired sushi knife. I find this quite interesting. I wonder why this is Motor Trend News, but I guess I understand because of the Nismo Z.
You know why? 'Cause Nissan, I hate to say it, I don't wish this upon them. I want to see them succeed, but if they go the wayside like Jaguar, they're gonna have to become like a designer thing, like how Jaguar's new kind of brand image is like designer looking cars, the
It,
shapes,
it's
the colored
funny.
blocks.
It's funny because Motor Trend, when they did this report, they were like, "Yes, we check our calendars, and April Fool's Day is still a week and a half away." A
You
limited
know what?
run,
I
a
like this.
limited run sushi knife created and handmade by Satoshi Kiryu, principal knife maker at Kiryu Manufacturing, which produces the Tetsushiro brand. Kiryu, a self-proclaimed longtime fan of the Nissan Z, worked with Hiroyuki Terada, a Florida-based sushi chef who holds the record for, and they say, and we swear we are not making this up, the highest number of carrot slices produced in 30 seconds while blindfolded. Which I actually watched the
Okay.
video. The record was 50. He did it by 88. He smashed that record
Oh wow.
blindfolded. According to Nissan, the sharp lines on the Z Nismo precision sushi knife are meant to evoke the shape of both the classic Z's and the current version, while the red insert in the handle echoes the red trim that differentiates the Nismo Z from lesser, or perhaps we should say less expensive, versions. That makes sense. No doubt we're meant to associate the sharpness of his blade with the Nismo Z's handling all in our own. This isn't the first bit of specialized Nismo merch we've seen outside the expected plethora of T-shirt, keychains, ratchet straps, and lunch boxes. Of course, a couple of years back, Nissan had designer Daniel Patrick produced a Nismo-inspired sleepwear in the form of a pajama and robe set. We're sure the associations of Nissan's performance decision with a good nap probably triggered all sorts of contentious meetings at Nissan HQ, hence the production of something sharper, more exciting, and arguably more dangerous. Kiryu will produce 240 copies of the knife, each individually numbered, so don't like use it to kill someone because they'll know which knife is yours. Maybe.
Yeah.
each knife bears
I don't know.
each knife bears Terada's signature. If your inspiration if you're speed slicing carrots, and comes in a black wooden box decorated with different versions of the Z logo. The knife is priced at $300.23, a reference to its racing number commonly used on Nissan cars. In Japanese, 2 is pronounced Ni and 3 is pronounced San, which makes sense. Nissan. Here at Motor Trend, we're better at eating sushi than preparing it, so we can't really comment on whether this is a good value. We did think the Nismo version of the Z struggles to justify its $13,000 price premium over the standard Z, given a negligible bump in horsepower and the fun sapping, if admittedly faster shifting, 9-speed automatic transmission. Let's hope the same thing isn't true of the knife.
You know, I have something else to comment on this because I'm like, I guess, I mean, I don't know why they made a knife based on the Z, but you never know because it's a love for the car.
Of
But
course.
one thing I have to say is the Z still exists, and the Z's basically riding on the same old I believe it's called the Nissan FM platform. So it's just a heavily, I'm not gonna say heavily updated. I feel like it's just a reskin 370, 350Z, but I
Because yeah,
digress to comment.
that's what the chassis platform is based off of, right?
Yeah. So it's like, I like to see that they still got this car around. And what I hope to see them do is I hope to see them give this engine, like yeah, as we talked about earlier with Nissan and the VR platform, this platform is gonna need some love. And the reason why I say it's gonna need some love is because basically now this is just a modern Q50 or G or a Q60 sedan. I mean, sorry, a modern Q60 coupe without the back seat. Like just like how the G37 coupe or G35 coupe always was to the 350Z, 370Z. You know, that's why they had G35, 350, you know, or 370, G37. So hopefully everybody gets the concept here. That's why they did it. Engine displacement numbers, you know, 3.5, 3.7. So the 400Z isn't, yes, it's not a 4.0. It just has 400 horsepower. That's why they call it that.
Uh-huh.
Um, and Q50 is now called Q50. So when I see this car here, I mean, I see, yes, I see a good car. I like that people always praise the handling, but it makes me laugh because people knock like the Q50 or Q60, and I'm like, essentially the same car. You get what I'm saying? And
I,
I'm like, so it's kind of like, all right, I'm like, I think what needs to happen here, as I see a commercial for the new Nissan Armada, which I'm happy they finally updated for North America, because now I finally think Nissan will come back, because finally showing the world that they can build some cars, and right now, since the world is like an SUV, especially America and other places, they better build their build their butts off a nice SUV and show everybody that hey, you can do it, because you gave us an outdated. Yes, it worked were a great platform, but like this is another example of what I mean by Nissan giving us an outdated platform. But I guess can I really call it outdated if it just works? You know what I
it,
mean? It's
it
the
it
same
is
thing like
out
I have
it is outdated regardless if it works or not because the technology is already there for it.
exactly
I'm not even gonna argue against
fairly
that.
outdated.
I'm not saying. Here's what I'll say to that.
Like
I'm not saying the Z isn't a good platform. I think it's one of his own unique, great platforms where it is, for some reason, to me, it has stood the test of time each time it's built, which I
yeah,
find quite interesting. Like the 350 is still talked about to this day. The 370 is still talked about this day. The 240 is still talked about this day. The 260 is still talked about to this day. Hell, even the
yeah,
what is it? There's other Z's that I'm forgetting, but they're all talked about
yeah,
because they're reinventing. Although unfortunately, it is sharing the same chassis as they done in 2003, I think, 2002 ish
yeah,
maybe. It is redefining that affordable sports car coupe. Although the Nismo is anything but that affordable, which to me makes no sense because
yeah,
that was the whole point of the Z. So the fact he made, hold on, sorry, the fact
right,
you made a Nismo version of the Z and gave it a $13,000 price tag is like, what happened to the Z being the affordable sports car? Like the last iteration we got of that was the 370. And yeah, it was marked up a little. Don't get me wrong, but for when it came out, like, hold on. I know when it came out, it wasn't that expensive, although we were in a different time.
inflation, inflation, and I thought of something funny actually. I was just laughing here because I said, what if Nissan Infinity killed off the Q50 to bring it back as like a Nissan variant, so now they can offer it as a cheaper price alongside the 400Z. I don't know, maybe call it the Nissan Cedric or something. Bring back one of their classic names or something. Nissan Laurel, or you know what I mean, something that people are gonna say,
Yeah,
what
so
car is
like
this?
so 2000 it was introduced as a 2009 model. It started out at $30,000 and a Nismo version at $40,000. All right, that's a $10,000 markup for a Nismo. And like I don't like it, but I guess I get it from a marketing standpoint. But like again, a $30,000 car that, oh yes, the Nismo looked cooler. It had different aspects of it, but you can literally build a better car with the Z, with the extra 10 grand. So it's like, why?
Why waste your money? And that's why for years, most people have always gotten a regular Z. And yeah, the Nismo, they would charge more. Yes, of course. You know what I mean? But that's why I'm like, for seeing the price of the new Z, I get why people are like, oh, it's expensive. But in my mind, they shouldn't really complain because they need to look at it as evolution. You know, the new 400Z essentially is your old Nismo with an upgraded power plant, with a power plant that
Yeah,
now
and I
is capable.
understand, 2009 pricing is different than 2025, but like,
So it's like, and they kind of kept it pretty close.
yeah, but an affordable sports car, even to this day, is still around 30. It's still around 30, 35, 40. This is 44 in base trim. The
See,
Nismo, the
that's the
Nismo is
thing.
65, sorry, $1,000. The performance model's 52. So you're looking at an 8 grand bump for a performance model and a 20 and over 20 grand bump for the Nismo. You went from 10 grand bump for a Nismo in 2009 to a 20 grand. You're doubling for what? And what are you getting? Not much of a power bump. Not much of a crazy torque curve. The same Z and this, like you said, the same chassis model, the same skeleton. So it's like,
That's why I'm like, people are missing the bigger picture here. And in order for them to sell these cars, I feel like, you know what I mean, especially today's market, this is what pricing has to be. But what they did, what I'm happy they kept was that base model right there, especially with the bumper
at
that people do not like.
$44,000 though, 45. I'd rather get an M340. It's just that's what's baffling about it. This is what I hate about it. It's like you're
That
a
I get what you
base.
say,
No,
but
no,
see,
no, no,
that's
no,
what
no,
makes
no. Hold
me
on, hold on,
want
hold
to
on, hold
get
on,
a
hold on, hold on, hold on. This is a base model Z, right? A
Yep.
base model 340 is 25. An
And
M340i, just rear wheel drive, you're looking at 32 to 35. X
wait,
drive,
really?
X drive, add 5 grand on
Wait,
that.
wait, hold
Down
on,
here,
hold
the
on, hold
market
on,
down
hold
here.
on.
The market up north is different. I'm just talking about down here. I use my location, so I can only go on the location prices down here, not up there. Up there is a little different. Up there, my boy, he bought a 2022 M340i X drive, the all-wheel drive version, and I think he paid 48 for it up north in Massachusetts. He got it in
But
Nashua, New
but
Hampshire.
still, but still, but okay. Even still, if it's 48, that's still right there though. 42. So I
But
get it because then you're getting a lot of car.
you get a lot of car, you get an all-wheel drive, inline six model, like you get a lot more things. I'm not saying the engine platform's not all that great. Well, actually, yeah, I'm saying that I don't like the engine. I mean, I don't mind for what it does. I don't like for it because of what it can't do, not what it can do. It's just to me, it's not worth it. I do like the Z though. I like the body of the Z. I am not a fan of the way the headlights coexist with the grill. How you get a nice sharp oval headlight in a sense to a square grill that pisses me off. That design cue always
Yeah,
pisses me off. Like it's the same. It's similar to the BMW M2 where it has like an angled oval style headlight and then just square bumper like that. That pisses me off way too much. Agile fixed it, which I love, but this is annoying. Like I don't like the way the Z looks. I like the fact that they try to
wow,
go back to the design cues of the Z. Like to me, I guess the best looking Z of all time is either the 350 or the 370. You could make an argument for the 240 because it's timeless, but like you look at the just look at the 370. Like we all know what the 370 looks like. Like even though it has a somewhat squarer grill and it's more curvature, it's way more curvature. The headlights, everything. It just looks
see,
nicer.
see, I feel like, to me, I still feel like people are getting a budget sports car, but I do agree. Yes, the pricing is a little bit higher, and especially now that the competition is making a better car for similar pricing. But I will say, on average, I'm just on the BMW website. I just want to point this out. This is a little off topic. I love what they did with their website now because although they have all the models, and yes, it's a lot of models they have, but I like what they've done. Well, you go on their website, you build it. They have core models, which are, they got their basic ass four cylinders. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Which are pretty expensive. But if you want the M340, you're spending about 60 right now, brand new. So that's the reason why I'm saying. So I want to say, if I'm gonna compare the Z, I probably should be looking at a 2 series. There you are. You hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
There you are. You hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I don't know what you heard last right now,
You were about to explain something and
but
it cut off
okay, all right.
after the four
So
cylinder thing.
okay. Yeah, yeah. So they have their basic four-cylinder models, and I like how they have now. They have like core models, then they have the M, and like basically everything is M now. Like the M340s are M's, and then you have the actual M3s. So I like that they've done that, and they have so many models. So I think I'd compare the 350s or 400Z, sorry. I would want to compare it to more of a 2 series at this point. But you know what's interesting? I just found out on their website. I didn't even know this model came out or exists. I'm gonna have to watch some car reviews on it. They have made a 2 series Grand Coupe. I don't know why they even have a need to make a 2 series Grand Coupe, but basically a 2 series with 4 doors. And it kind of looks funny. It
It
looks
does
like
look funny.
this
I'm looking at
tiny
it right now.
it,
That makes no sense to me.
and it comes in.
And they
Oh,
have
it's
a
only a
and
four
they have a
cylinder.
M235 X drive. What?
So let me see if the M. Let me see the M2 coupe actually comes with the 3 liter. But if you get the M2, yeah, and yeah, the M240 coupe, those come with the 3 liter.
The
But the
so
the Grand Coupe
the
doesn't come with it.
MT40 comes with the B58 and the M2 coupe comes with the S58. Two completely different
Yep,
engines.
yep. And they don't disclose that. Wish their little Grand Coupe comes with the 4 cylinder because Um, that'd be a car I'd buy for people. Let's just say that I'd buy that. And like, here you go. Here's your car.
The only
Here's your
the
BMW. That's the new CLA to me. That's the CLA
the only
competitor right there.
flack
They
I
did
have
it.
the only flack I have with BMW is the M3 should have been a coupe and the M4 should have been a sedan, and that's pretty much it. And then
Thank you.
the whole M the the standard performance of M where it's like a SUV like that pisses me off. But more importantly,
Also,
the naming pisses me off.
also,
Mm.
where the hell's my damn 6 Series BMW? How are you gonna take away one of my favorite models? Yes, I know you gave us the 8 Series. 8 Series is cool, but who says I like big cars, but I like the M6 or I like the 6 Series because it was like a 5 Series, maybe a little bit bigger, like a or even like an Audi RS7 or A7. But then you took that away and gave us an 8 Series, which is a damn size of a 7 Series. I didn't want a car that big. Yes, the 6 Series is almost the size of a 7 Series. Yes, people are like, why are you complaining? They gave us an 8. Well, I want a 6 Series because the 6 Series was sleek. Give me that sleek BMW again. Because the 8 Series, no, that's a looker too. But
I thought the
I want.
I thought the I don't know why I'm looking at this 4 Series Grand Coupe. That's stupid. But I don't. I thought the what's it called? What the fuck is it called?
Does
The
that come in the
eight.
M as well? It comes in an M.
Yeah, it does come in M2. I thought
Oh,
I thought the 8 Series was supposed to replace the 6 Series.
it
Or am I
did,
wrong?
and that's why I'm complaining. I'm complaining because the 6 Series was, in my opinion, very smooth, and the 8 Series they just brought it back out to ride the wave of
Grand
I
Touring.
don't know, yeah, and where I guess the 6 couldn't do it, but I mean, hell, give me
That's a
back the
big car
6.
though for
That's
what
what
it
I'm
is.
saying. I like the 6. I did I mean I guess there's not enough room in the lineup, but I mean they
It
have
looks
two,
like a
three, four,
bigger
five.
M4.
Exactly. They have exactly. So I'm like, how come they just can't give me something slightly in between that? Because they already got everything else. They got the 2, they got the 3, they got the 4, they got the 5. They're missing the 6. They got the
And they
7, they got
call it.
the
They
8.
don't even call it like a M8. They call it the M850i X Drive Coupe, and it has the twin turbo 4.4 liter V8. So I'm quite confused why they didn't just call it the M8 or
Some
something.
models, and that's one thing I noticed. Some models they call it the M blah blah blah, and then it comes with the M motor, and some of them don't come with the M motor, and that's what's annoying me now. And because I'm like, why are you guys doing this now? Like you're just making your lineup confusing. Like UK, for example, let's go to the SUVs. They got an X1, they got an X2, they got an X3, they got an X4, they got an X5, they got an X6, and they got an X7. And then I'm not gonna call it the XM, but that should be the X8. But that's the
What the
whatever the
Alpina
hell you want to call it.
XB7?
No, they got the
Oh, the
XB7.
newer
Yeah, I
one, or
see
the
that.
newest one. Yeah, I get
And
what you're saying.
then you got the XM that's sitting there and then doing its own little thing. And
They
it's kind
don't even have
of
the X3M anymore. They have the M50 X Drive,
yep,
but it still has the
yep.
same twin turbo inline six. So why didn't you just call it the X3M? I don't understand BMW design cues. I'm just gonna stop there. Whatever.
It's exact. See, X3 M50
They
confuses
have a
me,
so
but
they have an X4M, but for the X3, it's an X3M whatever I X Drive,
someone's gonna have
and
to
it's the
go through this
same
website
engine.
and like,
Look, hold on. Yeah, X3 M50 X Drive. Just call it the X3M. Why are you calling it all that? You have an X4M. I
because they
don't
want
know.
to confuse everybody. You know what? Here's my take on that. They're confusing people because X3 selling so well. They weren't expecting it to sell as well. They want to sell people X4s now. They want the X4 now to take the like just like how the 4 series right now, M4 has the whole kind of crowd behind it with the M3. They
Yeah,
want the X4 now to have like some hype behind it now. So I feel like they're purposely confusing people to drive sales just without making without destroying the product that they already have. They're just gonna update it and then they're probably gonna add some stuff that we don't like weight to these cars. So they can be prepared for hybrid batteries and stuff like that. That's
I'm
my
just want to
take.
make sure that this comes with the S58. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
So the X4M comes with the S58. Let's see here. The X3.
wow,
I think it
that's
comes with
funny. They
the.
have an
Oh
X5
no, yeah,
M60.
they stopped the X3M. That's why. Okay, that has the B58. So that has the single turbo. Well, that's
Oh yeah, so
stupid.
yeah, no more X3M. X3M gone.
Let's see. The X5 Drive 50E, the X. So these come with the B58 also. The lesser variant of the X5. What is going on? What are y'all doing? The
Exactly.
X5 X6 obviously comes with the twin turbo V8, but yeah,
Yep.
this
And you get the
the
X5M.
X6 Drive 40i. Yeah, it's the B58. Whoa.
Yeah, I think everything. Yeah, all of their cars pretty much are gonna have that B58. That's now their new bread and butter.
But
And
The
then now
S58 only came in the older X3M. The let me see. Let me just make sure the X4M has it. Yeah, the older X3M.
and
Well,
now
yeah.
the new
Now that
X4M.
discontinued, the X4M, the M2, the M3 and M4, and that's it.
Yep, and that's why I said it's funny how they have everything labeled as M's because they're trying to drive sales up. And I get it. You're getting instead. So now this was the logic back then. This is why I said the logic is almost reverse, and this is why I understand why sometimes you're like, what are these manufacturers doing? That instead of working from the ground up, they're working backwards now. So remember before back in the day that you had the M where the B or the N motor, then they made an
Mhm.
S variant, and then they made like you said the P variant.
Mhm.
Today now they know that they have the S58 and everything. So now instead of reworking it, they're working backwards where they're like, okay, the S58 is gonna be the holy grail. B58, you're now the the regular car duty, which is why yes, everything you were bashing Nissan Infinity about is why BMW is having so much success. If they took, like you said, the VR38, shrunk it down, put in the Q50, boom, 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 had a contender, and actually made the 7 speed, more available for tuning, or it probably is, just people didn't look at it, and all that stuff, and fix all the little flaws. They could also too be just like I said, the Japanese BMW, which is why I kind of said they should have been and would be, but because they keep doing these little things, that's always going to shoot them in the foot. So BMW now gets to have fun with saying, hey, it's like instead of just calling all our models M Sports or whatever, like back in the day,
Mhm.
this is an M340. This is an M this. This is an M560. This is an M850. And now everybody's like, yo, I got an M. No, you don't have an M. You got an M Sport, but it didn't sound cool saying M Sport. Just like back in the day, it didn't sound cool saying SRT 8 design package, or what's another
SRT8
one?
design package.
I'm trying to think of, or AMG. They had AMG. When they, I forget what they called it at first. It was like AMG Sport and something, and then people were like, "What?" And then they were like, "Oh, let's just call it AMG 45, AMG 30, like instead of AMG Sport package, like our parents." And so like, or S line, that's Audi S line. Hey, yeah, I don't. You don't have an S model. You have an S line. You have S design cues, but it doesn't have an S motor. So BMW is just having fun now, where they're getting a. I mean, hate to say it, they're taking the market by storm now. Everybody and their mama wants one. Like it's just like how I said how Hondas were back in the day, how like everybody had a G or FX SUV Infinity back in the day, or how like everybody had like an IS GS Lexus back in the day.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So like now these are like the new cars that are like just reigning. Just like for a few years, everybody had a Charger Challenger. Now this is now the new reigning champ of the cars everybody wants. Everybody wants a W because it comes with the B58, and they know, hey, I can make power, and not everybody wants 1,000 horsepower, but if you can make 600, cool. Which is that's why I said, oh, I'll get a Q50. I can make 500-600 horsepower in that light ass car. I'll fly. But then when you have cars like this around, you know what I mean? That decision for all these other cars like Mustang Coyotes or even Camaros or Chevy SS's, everything, or it becomes negligible. Now it's like, yo, I could literally go get a BMW used, know that it has a B58, the one that Toyota at least had their hand with.
Yes,
But yeah,
it's
no,
alright
I just
until
look
it
at it
keeps
like, you
dropping.
get a BMW. It's all right. All I'm gonna say is, what I mean, it's negligible. You get a BMW that has way more performance. You get so much more car versus all these other cars like Mustang, Camaro, Chevy SS, Pontiac G8, Hellcat Charger. Like what I mean, all these cars, yeah, they're fun, but you can go buy this BMW and do all the same things and still have all-wheel drive.
Mm.
Like I'm not even gonna call them as like I don't even want to call them like the modern day GTRs, but like this is like now the modern day car for the people now, like a modern day Audis. So like what I mean? Like it's doing everything right where you don't really need another car to do anything else. If you just need a car that can one drive through snow maybe, or get through the rain, get
Of
through
course.
some rough conditions, and that still make it to track day, put it in M mode, and then go have fun, and then put it back in the eco, and just drive home casually, and just know that you just ripped a 10 or 12 second quarter mile, or I'm I say 12. I'm tripping. Sorry, 11 or 10 second quarter mile, maybe 9. It's like all right, they got it. They got it.
Well, I'm not buying a Z anytime soon, unless it looks
Nah,
unless it looks better than what it should and have a different motor. But that's not gonna happen. Let me see if they have
nope.
a
And
different
and
front
that's
bumper
why
for it.
Nissan's downfall. Not preying on it. It's just we all see it, and unless they get their act together, they're gonna have a downfall instead of being successful. Like yes, there's still gonna be Nissan loyalists and purists. Like maybe myself too. Like I'd probably still get a Q50, Q60 because I'm just waiting for the price to drop. But when I see them still expensive, I'm like, I'll just get the old 340, and have a B58 and have a field day, like instead of a Q50. But I do have a soft spot for a Q50, and if I get one, I am thinking about getting one with a VQ and then supercharging it and calling it a day. Make 600 horsepower and just make trumpet noises.
I'm gonna grab a VR38 and slap it in there, or I'm gonna grab the Alpha 690T now that I work at Alpha and slap it in there. I'll grab one of
Oh,
them
you
twin
mean actually
turbo.
make the proper car?
Yeah, I know, exactly. Like,
Oh, that's a good idea. Get a Q50 or Q60. Take the actual GTR drivetrain with the transmission, slap it all in there,
no,
and then
I'll just do what you love. Just grab the VR38 and slap an 8 HP right there and call it a day. I'll do what you
oh,
love, so that way it's modern esque with the all-wheel
that
drive and
thing will
shit.
fly. that thing would fly. You know what? I think I saw somebody make a video on they had the VR 38 with the 8 speed,
Mm.
and that thing was ripping. Hold on, I might have. Let me see. VR 38 8 HP. I gotta see. I gotta find the guy. Oh no,
Dami Works
nah. This is
makes a kit for it. It's fifteen
yeah. That's
thousand
that's
dollars.
yeah. That's the company. Domi Works. Okay, VR 38 swap 240. That's 6 years ago. That's
8 HP
not it.
NS N57 B58 B57 S58 adapter.
Yes. Domi Works is the website that I've been on for a while. So that's why like for a lot of platforms, I'm like, what do you think about this engine? Because I'm just thinking, you can literally put that a K series and put an 8 HP behind it, and literally now have a K series with a big ass boost it to the moon. Not worry about you know engine compartment limitation space because now you're mounting it the right way.
They basically
And now look
specialize in
at it.
Nissan engines and putting them on BMW Trans from what it looks like. The
They
VK56, the
they
RBKA, the
yeah, they have
VQ35.
they have all. They have all. They have Toyota too.
What parts do I
If
need?
you'll see.
Products. DCT adapters, 8HP adapters, PDK adapters.
Yep.
Holy shit.
Yes. Yes.
The
All because of that
2UR What?
HPG and Turbolamic. But Turbolamic really does the 8 speed. And I know the HTG controller is trash, but if you use it for the DCT and the other stuff, you can get it to work. It just is trash with the 8 speed. But I know there's other companies that make kits to control the DCT and the PDKs and everything else. But yeah, they basically make so many adapter kits that's why I'm always like, you know
They
what?
even have an
I don't even
adapter
care
kit
what
to fit.
engine we get.
They even have an
I'm
adapter
like,
kit
just
to
give us
fit
the engine.
Toyota's 8-speed transmission to a JZ.
Yes.
The AA80E transmission on the
Yep.
ISF. That's wild.
Yep. Other TUR, right? Yeah, you see they got a kit for the TUR motor. Okay.
I want to see
So
if they
which
had. I
means
want to see if they have the S85.
so so what S85?
S85 to like a DCT.
No, it'd be doable. Same, it should be the same already because BMW, so it'd already be the right bell housing. It'd be literally a bolt in.
Oh, so you have to have no adapter plate because I see a bunch of. Let me see. Let me go back up top. Let me
Yeah,
see
cause,
what I was
'cause
just
all of
looking
these
at.
are really for the BMW transmission or the Porsche PDK or BMW DCT or Audi DCT to uh to other cars
Because look, it says right here,
like whatever.
Works engineered BMW B58 to S55 DCT adapter. That's why I thought they had it. Or BMW
See,
M10
like,
M30 S38 to S55 DCT adapter or S65 DCT adapter.
I
It's,
see what you're
that's why I thought
saying.
they had
So
it.
okay, nah, okay, you just gave me some knowledge right there because I didn't even know they had that right there. So hold on.
Unless the S65 is the same as the S85 in a sense. But it shows right here
Well,
the
Ford Coyote, the S55, S63 DCT, Ferrari F136 Maserati to BMW DCT, Honda F20. Yeah, see, this is why this website is dangerous. This is why
who says this
this
website's
this is what
dangerous.
led me down the whole thing of I don't even want to touch the engine. I just want to enjoy each OEM application, but with a proper transmission. Like I feel like all these
Holy
these engines.
Yep,
There you are. Yeah,
I gotta fix this. I don't know what's
but
going on.
but I wanna know what you just saw because yeah,
I gotta fix this. I don't know what's
but
going on.
but I wanna know what you just saw because yeah, isn't it insane how much stuff is here?
Dude, I just see an all-wheel drive adapter for the 8 HP for like a Supra, and I'm like, which Supra are we talking about?
Oh, you'd use the Audi transmission.
No,
Oh, sorry,
it's
you'd
for
use the
the eight
BMW
HP.
one.
It's for the 8 HP.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, so the Audis came
Yeah,
with
but
the
is this for
all-wheel
the
drive one, or you
2J
use the
though, or
BMW.
is this for the
Right.
B58?
So no, you could use the BMW transmission and transfer case, and then you would use a different controller. You'd probably want to use like Max ECU so that you can control the transfer case.
Oh, it says all-wheel drive to rear-wheel drive. No, I don't want that. I want all. I want to. If you could do all-wheel drive, fuck. This is
There's
crazy.
only one company that tried, and they're really like in the gutter right now.
What's that?
And HTG, like they were coming out with a new thing called like a transfer case controller, so you can control a transfer case. But
Oh,
HTG right now has such a bad rep, you don't even want to like go near them.
oh, look right
You'd
here.
really want to
Adapter kit
maybe do.
for the 8 HP 70, 75, 90, 95 to a S65 or S85 engine. That's crazy. Now they have that. They should have the. I mean, look like most of their work is that. Let's go back to DCT. That's 1J2. I guess it just bolts up then, since I'm looking at it. Whatever. But yeah,
Yeah,
that's
they
interesting.
have everything. Oh, Mercedes, imagine like
PDK.
Mercedes M113K. Come on, I'd take the M113K out of an E55 that's been wrecked. Put that in like a what's the I'd get a you know what? I'd get a Chrysler
Nah, this
Crossfire.
right here is what I'll do right here. Toyota 1GZ FE V12 to a Porsche PDK 981. I'm doing that. I'm doing that.
He said,
That's it.
he said,
Done. Donezo.
he said that's a done deal.
Done deal.
Porsche PDK,
Cause that's like the
Toyota V12,
what's that? The 981.
um,
981.
PDK 90. Let me look that up.
That's the Boxster Cayman. So that's like the 718 then.
Wow,
So I put a transmission like that behind a V12. I'll make my own sports car
it's not bad. So this right here though is why I said there's a lot of
for
OEM
1,500 bucks.
applications and cars that I want to buy because I want to enjoy them because I feel like again a lot of these cars have transmissions that raw power. Like for example, after driving a lot of newer 8-speed Hemis,
Uh huh.
when I drive my Ram, I know my engine makes a lot more power, but then I can feel the transmission just like just taking the power out of it. Where with these transmissions, we know these are like the epitome and peak of transmissions right now. So literally, yeah, it's like what a time to be alive because you can literally build your own car and put the transmission that you would want in it. And that's kind of why I was thinking. I was all in for the 8-speed swaps because then when I found out about like DCT swaps, I'm like, well, I have a truck, so it's too heavy for like stuff like that. I need the torque converter to handle that load. But it gave me the idea, which is why I was thinking 3S GTE with, you know, something light. But then you said make it mechanical, and I was like, I felt that I'd like a mechanical car. But then I'm thinking the V8 swap should be mechanical, but 3S GTE so it can just, rev high and do its thing. That could be a little PDK or a little DCT action. I
That
might
just
be looking at sending you a
that
motor.
adapter alone made me want to get a V12.
You know what? I believe it. I believe it.
Cause
I
the
believe it.
1GZ. Let me see. Oh, wrong browser.
FE
Yeah. Sorry, I was looking up Isaac
one
Newton.
G. Yeah, it was it.
I was looking up scientific shit before we started this podcast. Um, 1GZ FE
FE.
for Sella. 2,500
Isn't
bucks.
there?
2,000. And that's in a lot of these prices are with the trans. Like, look,
Wait. How much?
2,500 bucks
That's it.
with trans, with ECU, with all the plumbing, with the alternator, the power steering pump, the AC condenser, the exhaust manifold, everything, everything.
Yeah. Will that fit in the G? Will that fit in the GR86?
It'll be long, but maybe. A V8, if a V8, I wouldn't be surprised if this could fit, knowing the displacement. It's like, I believe it's 5 liters. I believe it's an 84 millimeter bore, like the Cosworth 3.9 liter in Gordon Murray's T50. Hold on, because that's also an 84 millimeter bore.
So,
Oh no,
do
the
you mean
board's
to tell
80.
me?
The board's 81, and the stroke is 80.8, so it's even smaller.
Wow. So you mean to tell me? I know there's mods for this V8. I mean V12. I know that. I
There
know
is,
this. I
like,
know.
I think
I
Harley
know.
Performance or something like that does engines like this.
I know from the factory. It's so reserved. It's so tuned for smoothness and reliability.
Mm.
But but I'm just thinking. What other Toyota models that were? Let me see. What's a rear-wheel drive Toyota that would fit?
Bro, I wouldn't even care. I will literally build a caged car around this. I'll buy a Harbor Freight welder and a bunch of tubes, and just make a kit car out of it. I do not care.
Yeah, that would be nice. And I bet the PDK. I wonder how much that PDK
Yeah,
costs.
look, connecting rods, pistons, some ITBs, and billet cam covers. Like, you can make this thing sing. I'll sleeve that bitch too. Cause
Oh yeah. Oh,
Hartley builds his own bespoke V12 for another car right now. But still,
oh wow. Oh yeah, that would definitely turn up that engine real quick. That engine's
they also
already.
build parts for the VK56.
Yes, Hartley. I'm yes, 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 yes. I'm familiar because I almost messaged them because they make cams for the DE, and I was gonna ask them if they can make something for the VD,
They
which
do.
is the direct injection. Yeah, over 10.
Yeah, that thing could sing, man. This thing could sing with. If you build this right, this thing could sing. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. It's so small. Like, it's a small V12. Like, when you look at the packaging of the V12, like, it's comparable to like Audi's units, like Audi's V10 and stuff. Like, it's that small.
Get an RX-8. I get an RX-8 and put this in it.
Oh, like the pistachio RX-7.
Yeah, I
You
do an
seen that
RX-8 with
with
it.
the
That way.
M120?
No, I haven't seen that.
You never seen that, the
RX.
pistachio?
Oh, I haven't seen that. I gotta look that up.
Right here. It has the V12 out of the M120.
Mercedes.
Yeah, Mercedes. Yeah. Where HP Tuner?
So that would be nice.
Right there. Look,
That
see?
would be nice.
They built it to like 800 horsepower, something like that.
Oh,
It was an
wow.
FD RX-7 with the 6 liter V12. They build a bunch of parts for it now, the M120. So if you need like M120 parts, you go to them now. Pretty much. It's called Guichi
You know what?
Motorsports. I forget what that is in Japanese. Guichi.
I'm looking up an RX-7 right now. I mean RX-8 because RX-7s are expensive. RX-8, a little bit more reasonable. I don't care if it comes with an automatic. That makes my search even easier now.
But like how? But
Yep,
it's so much harder to find an M120
there you
engine,
go.
like the right spec one.
Yeah, that's why I was looking for a Mercedes to own so I could take the engine out. But you showing me that V12 only being that price, fully shipped with everything dressed, um, that's not a bad little deal.
That's what I'm saying.
And they take it looks like they took care of it. It has the whole harness attached to it, has
Yeah,
the intakes on it.
cause there's not a lot of good examples for the V12, like the Mercedes V12. So that's why I'm like, maybe I should go the Toyota route.
Yeah, honestly, you just showed me something that I wish I didn't see because now that 3S motor is looking like I'm gonna have to get it to ship it down to you so like it could have some progress. So that in the meantime, uh, uh, you know what's gonna go there next? 1G, a 1GZ. You're like, hey man, is that motor on the stand? Nah.
Yeah, this the M120 that's in the RX-7 is saying like they did a dry sump, ITBs, the whole nine, like, and they went coil packs and everything. Like, they didn't. I think it came with a distributor, if I'm not mistaken. on a
Hey,
couple
in
of
my
these.
opinion, I think that would be a good build. I think honestly, you just put me onto something. That would be a good build to pay homage to them. You know what I mean? So they don't think I'm like, hey, look, you guys gave me so much inspiration after seeing that because I was thinking what car would be good to put this motor in, and then you guys made a V12, but instead of it being an RX-7, here's an RX-8. Here's an RX-8
Once people
with it.
figured out that this came in the what is it, the Pagani, everyone started going after it like crazy. I'm
Yeah,
like, bro, like, yo, chill,
yeah,
because these used to be
literally,
these used
literally
to be
everybody
affordable engines. Now they're like there's no point.
insane. Exact. That's why I regret. I tell you, I regret. There was a S600 old school back in the day. I almost bought it. The guy couldn't get it to run. Probably needed a fuel pump. Now that I think about it, old Mercedes. He hasn't run it in years, and literally just sat. And I'm like, I could have bought that car for $900, $800.
I wouldn't mind getting like an old S600.
It was a 94 or 90, yeah, 94 or something with the M120 or a 92. So I'm just like, man, the old W140 tanks or the tank Mercedes, where everybody was like, "That's
I
a
wouldn't mind because
Mercedes."
it's like the what is it, the 1990s, like the SAC,
Hmm.
like the Rupture Monster
Cool.
Mobile with the big sleek back and like, oh, let me search it up
Yeah,
because I think those came with the
yeah,
V8, I believe. Hold on. Um,
yeah. V8. I think they came with the V8 and the V12.
there's a particular one. Is it SL? It doesn't look like this. I didn't like the headlight design of this one.
Oh man.
Let me see.
No, yeah, I know which one. I think look up SE.
I think it's
Well,
S.
yeah,
I
yeah, it's
think it's
supposed to be the SEL.
SL, maybe. No, not that
Yeah, it
one
might be the
either.
SEL. Look up SEL.
SEL.
The
All right.
SEL might be the sedan.
Yeah, this is sedan.
But I know which one you're talking about because they had it. I know exactly what style you're
Like
talking about. It's like
this.
hard to find now.
Like this.
Yes. Yeah.
Yo,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
is. I mean, it's a 560, so it came with the V8. But that
Yeah. Yeah.
that
There you go. There
thing
you go. Yeah,
looks
that one.
nasty. I would definitely get one of those.
Yo, I was actually looking. So I thought it came with the V12 down. I found those the V8. I still get it because I read about the V8. It was still pretty revolutionary at the time for what
So it's
it
the
was.
560 SEC AMG, which is the pre-merger upgraded Mercedes-Benz. It was a 6-liter engine, which produced twice as much torque as the original 5.6. Did this come with the V8? This particular one come with the V8 is the question.
Mhm.
I don't see AMG blah 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 blah, twin cam heads, blah 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 blah. Yep. SEC da 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 da. No, see, I don't
They
see
did have
what.
a 600 SEC though,
What's this
but
picture?
yeah, it had the
No,
ugly
it's the V8.
headlights.
It's the V8 this one has. So it's a
Yeah.
6-liter V8 it came with, I think, or a 5.6, whatever. I don't care. If I was to find one of these, I'll either put an M120 V12 in it or I'll put the 6.2-liter M156 in it. I don't care. This thing is nasty.
Hmm.
1989.
See,
I'll definitely
yeah,
find one like this and do that. 'Cause it just, to me, it's a timeless design. But like
it is.
that whole,
That's like it's like
ooh,
BMW's design back in the day. They had that timeless like those cars. They had design down to peak, a peak, like beautiful. Everybody would love those cars.
what is it? 500 ACC,
Hmm.
560. Oh, there's no way they're for sale around here. But let's see. Auto Trader Classics. Just for shits and giggles.
Yeah,
Oh, that's not bad.
yeah,
See, I'll pay $30. I don't mind paying $30,000. Look at that. 1989, 560 SEC,
yep,
635,000. Yeah, okay. But
yeah,
still, that's still a
yeah.
bad
Okay,
looking car. Look at that big ass tail.
I love. Yeah, every time I see one, that's why I regret not buying one of the old school Benzes because I let the best of me say,
Oh,
oh,
with
let me
that
get a more
rear
modern
quarter
one.
panel glass roll down. Oh,
Exactly.
oh,
Timeless.
the wide
Timeless. The
fenders.
only
Oh,
other car you can get that gives you this look was the 8 series of the
that
90s,
mahogany
which gave you
wood.
that kind of yes.
You know what? That's something. If I put a V12, if it's not lining up, I'm putting a transaxle in it. But if it's light enough, I'm putting like a small DCT in the front. And I'm just just have fun with it. Cause
Just
this
have
thing
fun,
looks
make
like
it a
it could
nice
corner
little.
like a bastard.
And you know what? That was the thing about those old school Benzes. They actually could take a corner, and that's why it's funny because we take for granted how far cars have come because everything just gets better and better. But when these cars came out, they were very capable. I mean, there wasn't really American cars that can hang with that car. You'd have to go up to Rolls Royce, Bentley of that time, that era.
Look at that. Let me see if this is similar. Cause if it is, I'll jump on this wagon. Oh, oh.
Yep. The monoblocks. Listen, I love the monoblocks. I'm sorry. The monoblocks would have to stay for me.
Maybe. It depends. It is era specific. It's era correct. But then you look at the. I think it's because of the paint jobs tricking me. But then you look at the
I was
way
about
that.
to say you'd have to paint the wheels or change the color. If that car was black with the monoblocks, you would love it. It's because it's not black.
Hold on.
And then I'd
You know
even
what?
paint
You know
the
what I'm gonna do?
inside of the monoblocks
Open
black.
link in new tab. Let me open this one. Let's go to the side profile real quick. Let's go to the side profile of this real quick. Let's do this. Oh,
Not
hold
right
on.
there.
Let's
Yep.
go back.
Yep.
Oh, oh, so close. Hold on, let me do this. Let me
Yeah.
shrink
That's
it.
what I'm saying. It just needs to be lowered and the mono in different color. I'd honestly wrap the car. That's what I would do. The car would get wrapped.
Nah, I'm painting this bitch. This is getting a permanent job.
Oh,
Cause
I
look,
wouldn't.
all
I
right.
would
So
keep the original color.
what's different is obviously it's lowered, but they changed the front bumper and the rear bumper, but the
Yeah.
silhouette looks okay, and they have a little spoiler, and that's it. If it's a coupe, I don't care because I don't like like convertible tops or whatever they call it, the sunroof.
Yeah.
I could care less about
Same.
it. But then you look at the back, they're pretty much similar. It's just the side skirt, the front bumper, the rear
Yeah.
bumper, and the little
Yeah.
spoiler
It's
on
just
the
a.
end.
It seems. I'm gonna
Little
call it what
duck,
it is. It looks like a nice little body kit.
little duck lip. Now, do these rear? I'm pretty sure these rear windows roll
That's a
down.
little wide body too. He looks like he put a little wide body on it. It looks like.
This one isn't too bad. I think they just rolled the fenders because this already comes with a little bit of wide body. This one
Oh,
has a
see,
roll
but look
down
at that
windows too.
line. Look at that. Look at that arch of the rear wheel well versus the other one. Yeah, and look how pronounced that line is versus. But then again, it could be the color, but that line
I
looks
think it's the
way more
color.
pronounced on that
I
black.
think it's the color. Hold on, because I'll go back to the
It
original.
it looks like a wide. Yeah, if we could try to get like
Yeah, look at it. So
a side
look at it here, and
narrow.
look at it there. It's pretty similar. The
So
rear
do
one
they
I
have
will
like
argue is the same. The front one might be a little different.
Do they have if you scroll down, do they have like a picture of it pointing like from the side, like not side, but like
Like
a
that.
different angle of the side,
Let me
like
see if
that?
I get
Yeah,
a
wait.
front view. Hold on. Let me see if I can get a front view. So that's a bad view of it. There you go. So that's the only problem. The bumper takes it away a little. Like the way they took these pictures were ass. But then you look at. Let me see if I can get a corner. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah, they look wider. They definitely do look wider. The rears
Yeah,
kind
they
of look
wide. You know
similar, but the
what?
fronts are wider.
But nah, see, yeah, look at the rear. It even has a
Little
little
hump. Yeah.
like
Okay.
it
Like a
looks
little
like he
top hump.
molded it. Yeah, it looks like he molded that on. Like, but he did. They did a good job at molding it on.
Look, if I
But that just shows
this
you how the
this car
subtle
is
mods like that.
$12,000. If I get it for like 5, that deal. I'm putting a V12 in it. I don't care. I do not care. This thing's getting a Pagani
Ex-
V12. I'm getting equal length headers,
Yeah,
and that thing's gonna scream to the moon,
exactly.
and I might have a
That-
blast.
This is the exact ends I was looking for, and then that's when I was like, "Oh, they don't come with a V12." That was that day we had a random. I don't think we were on a video, but we had a random phone call convo, and I was like, "Yeah, I'd get a S600," and you were telling me all about the Mercedes V12, and oh, maybe it was
The
on
only
video, but
what I
yeah,
was telling you is the problem with the whole ignition pack because you were looking at a later one with the coil pack, like the six coils in one thing, and I'm like, you could just do it.
oh no, yeah, and that's why I told you I started looking at the old. I crossed that one off the list. That's why, and that's why I
But
went
then
back
we
to the
talked
original.
about it like
These
months
are
later. I was like, "Were you lucky? Did you find that Mercedes?" Like, no, I don't like get the price of coil pack and it's $2,000 or whatever. I'm like, why don't you just put Audi coil packs on it and just rewire it? And you were like, huh? I'm like, yeah, you could do that. You didn't know that? And then you were like baffled at the idea. I'm like, you were like, wait, you could do that? I'm like, yeah, you save your just go get coils from like a junkyard or some shit and just wire them. And if you run a
you know how
misfire
many
for some
V12
reason,
Mercedes I missed? I missed so many V12 Mercedes because of stuff like that. Like there's so many cheap, good priced Mercedes that I could have gotten, but now, yeah, see that front, yeah, that little extra little lip that they put on it does the job and it did the job well. That car doesn't even need to be touched; it just needs some nice wheels and it'll still look good. But subtle little
I'm
mods like
I'm
that
putting the
just go
V.
far.
If a V12 doesn't fit, I'm putting the M156 V8. I will find a
Yeah,
V12, measure it as long as it looks good. I don't care how nose heavy it is. I'm slapping it right in there. I do not care.
that would be. I'm not gonna lie. That would the V8 would also still be like a M156, the
Yeah, the
6.23
6.2
liter,
liter. Yo,
6.3. That would be.
I'm flying.
That thing would sound
I'm
mean. Like
flying. I'm doing
imagine a
all
startup.
the M159 miles on it. I'm doing ARP head studs. I'm doing like I'll do titanium rods just for the hell of it. I don't care. I'll just do it
The
just to see.
transmission.
Transmission? Again, it depends on how light it is. Because I would want like if it's
Eight
the
speed.
V
Nah,
if it's
I'm
the
kidding
V8
about this.
if it's the V8 the way it's snappy, I'm gonna do a 7-speed DCT. I'm sorry. I'm gonna do that. If it's the V12, there's probably it's either a transaxle style transmission or probably an 8 HP just cuz.
I was gonna say, don't you feel like the V8's torque would eat the DCT?
No, cuz it came with a DCT to begin with.
Oh yeah, that's right. And I think DCTs only have problems if you relaunch them repeatedly.
But even then it's just gonna do rear wheel drive burnouts.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You're not, and I feel like you're not going to be like,
Look,
launch now.
either way, whether I get it to get a V8 or a V12 in there, they're both gonna be dry stuff. They're both gonna have titanium rods. They're both gonna have DLC coded hardware, and they're both just gonna rev and have a wide power and torque. Man, I don't care how I'm gonna do it. If I was to get this car, I don't care how I'm gonna do it. The only difference is weight. If the M120 weighs hopefully around the 480, 490 pound marker, I can probably get away with the transmission right behind it. If not, I'll just put like a rear transaxle, like a Corvette transaxle style transmission, and do a 6 speed or whatever, and
Mhm.
I'll just call it a day and just rev my own
That'd be
gears or
perfect.
something. I'll just roll my own gears or whatever. Or if it's a DCT like the GR6, like the Nissan, like the R35 GTR, and I get that thing to sink down and low, I'll do that too. I wouldn't care. If I could get the V12 to go down and back, I could do a transaxle style transmission, call it a day. If I can't get it to do that, I'll put an 8 HP and call it a day. If it's an M156, that thing's getting a DCT. I don't care. I don't care if I'm not gonna roll my own. I mean, actually, no. I wouldn't mind putting a 6 speed behind it. But if I don't, it's just gonna get a DCT because it just works. The power band's amazing. The gearing's fine. I don't have no problem with it. I do not care. But
Yeah, because they don't make too. They make torque, but they don't make
this
crazy.
thing's
Say
gonna
like I
sing.
mean,
This thing's gonna sing one of two notes. It's either a high pitched scream or it's a deep German growl. I don't care.
hmm, hmm.
And I'm gonna keep it Mercedes. The only thing that's gonna be questionable is the transmission, but the engine plant Mercedes.
That's okay. Transmission's the only thing I say today that we accept because, like I said, there's a lot of engines. I feel like that have a lot of basically in their OEM applications, we're not seeing the max potential of them,
Oh no, not at all.
especially a lot of cars. And basically, just the transmission alone, like there's so many. I don't even have to say countless cars that once people swap transmissions, I'm not even gonna limit to just the 8 HP, but PDKs or even DCTs, they've gained a second or two in 0 to 60 or the quarter mile, just off not even touching their motor. And then obviously when they start modding the motor, the game even better. You know what I mean? They're able to stay in their power band longer.
Oh, of course.
Like for
The M
example, a 2J,
the
right? 2J
2J
and the
has
boost.
more of
Doesn't boost.
a snappy. When built right, it can have such a snappy, responsive engine.
Exactly.
Cause that
And
inline
then
six
imagine
just
that
revs.
turbo lag. And imagine everybody with the turbo lag for years, right? And then they had the shift. Now they got the 8 speed or or DCT, whatever they want to put
Well,
behind it. Most people do
that's
eight
I
speed.
get the
Now it
gearing is
shifts in the power.
so I get the gearing is important and AHP will help, but that's more the turbo size. That's a lot more factors than just the transmission because you can make a nice snappy any lag 2J without the need for a transmission and have a wide curve. Like I think Rob at Zona Rotor Performance does a great job building his turbos to the point where they're super efficient. You could get them at lower RPM and they're ultra high flowing.
Mm. So and he still makes probably decent good power, huh?
Dude, the turbos he builds are insane. Like there's a three. It's almost like there's a three. Like you know how the method of good, cheap, and fast, and you can only get two out of the three. Like you, if it's cheap and
Yeah.
fast, it ain't gonna be good. If it's good and cheap, it ain't gonna be fast. If it's good and fast, it ain't gonna be cheap. His thing is like
Yep.
the response. I think is response, size, and lag. One of the three. You're going to get two out of the three. If you get response is size, it's gonna be like crazy lag. Like as far as that goes, it's like some other I forget his rule, and he just tackles all three. Like you get nice responding turbo with whatever size depending on the application you need on the flow chart, and it's gonna have little lag
Yeah.
to it. It's almost like it's a
See,
hybrid
I
style
think that's
turbo.
better. I think that's better than because you see a lot of people they try to build high powered, but then they have like this insane amount of turbo lag instead of having something that's usable power. So by the time the race is over, at least you'll be in the race versus
Yeah. So
we always see it on
so
those videos. People pull and then
it's crazy. It's crazy because the turbos he recommends, you're downsizing on turbos, but you make more power, have more response, and have way less lag than like let's say a precision 6766. Let's say he'll make you downsize the turbo, but you excel in everything else, which is crazy. But
interesting.
we 3 hours in, and I don't know how long we could continue talking about aftermarket performance. But one thing for sure is I'm getting one of those SECs probably. If I mean I'm probably not
And
gonna get it in
I
my
mean,
lifetime, but if I do, it's getting one of those two engines.
don't worry. One day, if I just drop one off to your house, you'll know.
It's mine. Once you drop it off
You
my house,
will.
give me the title. It's mine.
I know it's
Well,
yours. I
it's not.
know it's yours. And I get to see it. I get to see what happens. Let's see what he's gonna create with this madness. Just like I need to bring some a motor down there too.
There's a lot. Nah, nah.
I'm bringing it. I'm bringing it.
Yeah, right.
And
That
then in
motor's
the
not even on.
summertime, I'll be down there.
That engine's not even on the stand. I guarantee you.
The engine's ready to be packed
How
and
long has it
shipped
been
out.
since I told you when it needed to be on the stand? How long? A
You know,
year? Over a
a
year
funny,
now.
a funny, a funny story actually. Somebody's told me and they said, don't let you see that what that garage looks like right now. And I'm like, yeah, no, no
That person is
pictures.
that somebody was me. Is me.
And you don't want to see what that garage looks like right now.
I remember helping you clean that motherfucker for 2 hours straight.
I know, I know. Don't worry. I gotta
Yeah, you better hide that face. This dude, yo,
work on it.
talk about. Oh, I should go up there to help fix the Yukon. I'm gonna end up gutting out that whole garage once more.
Be like, what is going on in this garage? I'm like, hey, I don't know. Oh man,
On that note,
that'd be funny.
we gonna sign
You be
off.
like, yeah, what's that?
We gonna sign off. We could talk about this all day, but it's gonna be dragging. More shenanigans.
Yep. Well, no more. We won't talk about it no more.
He said we all set.
That's what
Look at
that
that.
is.
Sherrod over
Mm-hmm.
here. This man right here
Yep.
is Blackie.
Got the
Oh, before we
fireworks.
sign off, Underground Racing set a new roll racing record. Fastest roll racing Huracan in the world. So we had to put it as our
Ooh,
display. They're making 3,600 horsepower doing 246 miles an hour in a roll race. Crazy.
wow. So, whatever R35 that we saw last time, he has a new record to beat.
With a Huracan and 4 more cylinders.
Yep.
Fucking hell.
He has a record to beat now.
Underground
And you
Racing back
Mustangs
at
and
it.
Corvette.
Underground Racing
Yep.
back at it. I like it.
Competition's fierce.
But we'll catch you on the next one. So, on that note.